Welcome back to another FPL reaction stream. We are looking at Game Week 9 and discussing all the Game Week 8 action so far. We've got a couple of matches left, 2 on the Sunday and 1 on Monday night. We've had quite a lot of football already, 7 matches and a lot of action, a lot of red cards. That's 5 today, so a lot to discuss, I'm sure. Hopefully you are doing better than I am. I'm currently on a small green arrow, but before that Arsenal-Bournemouth game, things were looking decent, actually. I was around 1.1 million, had a lot of players left, but to get 4 points from Gabriel, Raya and Semenyo, who came off the bench against 10-man Arsenal, I really thought I would have gotten something more. Of course, Saka did miss out entirely. He'll be a doubt for the Shakhtar Donetsk game in midweek and also in Game Week 9. We'll see what Arteta says about that specific injury, but honestly, we can't really trust him at this point. And whenever he says something like, oh, we'll wait and see, or, you know, the injury's not too serious, it seems like the player misses out. And then when he says, oh, he'll probably miss out, he ends up playing. So you can't really trust him when it comes to that. But let's get straight into your questions and comments as always. Drop a like if you haven't already, and also subscribe to the channel. By the Tuesday for the UCL Fantasy Deadline stream in Matchday 3, we're looking to get to 29,000 subscribers. We're very close towards achieving that goal. And by the end of the calendar year, 30k will also be achieved. Chris Bacon says, well, that wasn't a good start to my FPL weekend. Can anyone donate me 10 million and free transfers? It can feel like that, and it seems like the last 2 international breaks have really put a halt to momentum. So going into Game Week 4, I was actually doing very well, around 200k, and as soon as that international break happened, I made a lot of transfers, and it all went south from there. Played the wildcard in Game Week 6, and some of the people I've brought in have become absolutely useless. It's not looking good, bro. 13 points, 4 to go. Need a Salah masterclass, says FPL Kevy. Yeah, it's not looking too great now, but those 4 players you have left, including Salah, can make a huge difference tomorrow. I've still got quite a lot left, but of course, the Arsenal-Bournemouth game did take 3 of my slots already. So for me, it's Haaland captain, Chris Wood, Rico Lewis, Cole Palmer. Let's see what they can do. So ultimately, I'm still aiming for a green arrow, but the last couple of weeks have been so disappointing, really. Also, I know we didn't. Also, I know we had 10 men majority of the game, but Arsenal didn't play well. I completely agree. Bournemouth deserved the win. It was a red card, and I not only blame Saliba for that, I also blame Trossard for the pass backwards. I don't know what he was thinking in that moment, and of course, he miscalculated it, and you know it can happen. But he's done that once or twice before. I think he did it once against Brighton 2 years ago when he first joined the club. But yeah, it's obviously. I know what you're saying there. Obviously, the red card does kind of kill the game in a way, or it really limits Arsenal's chances of, you know, creating opportunities and scoring goals. But they didn't really handle the game at all well. You know, when they had 11 men, when they went down to 10, I also think Arteta is a very big part of that. I think he's the main man responsible. Then you're looking at Saliba and Trossard, but ultimately it was poor performances all round. Easy99 says, maybe the worst game week. 14 points with Haaland, Bernardo and Palmer. Saliba in the starting lineup and Anderson on the bench, both red carded. Mainu injury. Welbeck could have a back injury and could use early wildcard as expected. Not too early though. A lot of people have wasted the wildcard already. Some of you might have actually played it quite well. But yeah, it's not great, but in situations like this, the wildcard can bail you out. The Welbeck injury hopefully isn't too serious. He's been incredible this season, especially for that price point. I was actually considering going to someone like him, but particularly Cunha or Wissa in the coming weeks, and then reinvest the money in other areas. And I want to get off double Arsenal defence as soon as possible. I just feel like I've really had a bad impact on them personally. Now, 14 points is terrible right now, but we're still quite early on into the game week technically. After 7 matches played, Haaland and Palmer could easily save you there, get you to 30 plus points, and maybe kind of minimise the damage, so to speak. So I wish you the best tomorrow. No Salah or Frankenstein monster for me, unfortunately. Oof, that's going to be tough to watch, but if you've got Palmer, that could be a saving grace. I think Liverpool-Chelsea will be high scoring. Let's actually go through the scorelines and go through my predictions. So Spurs 4, West Ham 1. I said 3-2. So I expected a high scoring game, but a bit more competitive than what we ended up seeing. So yeah, 4-1 was a fair result. I think Spurs played some good football, and of course the Kudus. You know, you saw the moment of brilliance and then the moment of madness towards the end. Fulham 1, Aston Villa 3. I went for 1-1 in that particular match. And then Ipswich Town 0, Everton 2. I went for 2-1 Everton. But quite thankful actually, because Mikolenko has been the star of the show and the only reason why I've got a green arrow at the moment. Man United 2, Brentford 1. The only scoreline I've predicted right up until now. Newcastle 0, Brighton 1. I said 3-1 Newcastle and backed Isak to have a good game. didn't turn out to be the case. Southampton 2, Leicester 3 with a 98th minute winner by Jordan Ayew. Buonanotte scoring once again, and Vardy from the penalty spot, and also being booked. And also I think it was Ryan Fraser who got sent off. So many red cards today. And then Bournemouth 2, Arsenal 0. Kluivert being man of the match with the assist for the first goal and then scoring the penalty. David Raya, by the way, was absolutely terrible today. He was a complete bundle of nerves and the complete opposite of what we saw towards the beginning of the season. You could argue it's kind of like a one-off for Arsenal, but my major concern is the amount of red cards they're getting. 3 in 8 matches, the most in the Premier League, and it's just not enjoyable to watch your own team go down to 10 men and just really struggle to create opportunities. But they have to learn that lesson sooner rather than later. Otherwise, it's going to be maybe a one-horse race, maybe 2 if you're back in Liverpool to compete. But let's wait and see. We've got some big matches coming up very soon. Even tomorrow, Liverpool versus Chelsea. Wolves versus Man City seems like a foregone conclusion. Hopefully not, but it does seem like that way. And then Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Palace on the Monday. So my predictions, by the way, for those matches were 3-1 Man City, 3-2 Liverpool against Chelsea, and 1-1 between Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace. I'm backing the Eagles to get something, maybe even a victory. And I think Morgan Gibbs-White being suspended and injured for that game could be a massive blow to Nottingham Forest. So let's go back to my team for a little bit. So just to kind of recap, Raya with 1 point. Also a bit fortunate maybe not to get booked, actually. He was just a complete shambles. Gabriel with 1 point. He's been awful since buying him on the wildcard in terms of FPL output. Before that, he seemed unstoppable and a must-have in FPL. It goes to show you nobody is essential, even the big man up front, Erling Haaland. Mikalenko is going to get 7 points, courtesy of a bonus and a clean sheet. I'm very happy with him. I actually watched the second half of Everton Ipswich Town, and I was very impressed with how Everton played. Ndai is always great on the ball. Calvert-Lewin did a shift up front, but his finishing can be left, well, it can leave you left wanting, if that's even the saying. My head's probably on Mars. Mikalenko himself actually played fairly well, and overall, a good performance by Everton, although Ipswich Town just didn't really offer anything in that game. Rico Lewis is yet to play tomorrow, same with Cole Palmer and Erling Haaland for myself, and then Chris Wood on Monday night. Mbeumo blanked against United. I'm a bit surprised by that. Saka, of course, missed out entirely, so Semenyo's 2-pointer off the bench will be coming on for me. So those that went from Saka to Son, fair play, and even Foden, I could see that transfer really paying off. You just have to hope he starts the next couple of games and doesn't get benched. Morgan Rogers scored, but also got booked. At 1 point, he was on course for 2 bonus points, but the yellow card surely eradicated the possibilities for that to happen. Solanke blanked despite Spurs scoring 4. That was very frustrating. So it's been a very mixed bag sort of week for me, but I'm still on a green arrow somehow because Mikalenko's effective ownership is around 1%. So it's probably the best haul I've got in time from a mega differential. So I'm fairly happy about that. Haaland's my captain. He will surely play tomorrow and probably score a few goals. At least Man City will. Let's see if he can be the main man up front and getting those chances. But apart from that, it's Greaves and Vandenberg on the bench. Greaves missed out entirely, so it was due to an injury. Let's see how severe that is. But I'm already light at the back, and if Rico Lewis gets benched in the next couple, I could be in some serious trouble. The double up in the Arsenal defence just isn't working. So the wildcard has caused me some problems, although thankfully I do have Cole Palmer right now since I bought him in Game Week 7, and I've improved certain aspects of my team, but ultimately, if I had the wildcard right now, I'd be very tempted to use it, or at least in the coming weeks. For those that still have the chip, I'd recommend Game Week 12 as probably the best time on paper, but it does depend on your circumstances. Game Week 14, 16 and 18 also provide fairly decent opportunities considering the fixtures and the swings coming around. So let's get back into your questions, and then afterwards I'll go to the FDR, the updated version, as Game Week 8 has almost already concluded. Trenek says 38 had McNeil, Watkins, Welbeck, Rogers. That's a great score this week, considering it's quite low scoring. Tough game week so far. Yeah, I agree. Need Haaland, Bernardo, and Palm masterclass tomorrow to save this disaster game week. Yeah, we're all kind of hoping for the best with certain players. With Haaland, though, if you don't have him captain, I think you do, but in other cases, you're probably hoping for him to blank because his EO is really high. All right, Dylan, what's with Arsenal this season? So, up until this point, so before the Bournemouth game, I think Arsenal have done fairly well considering the red cards, which for me personally, just in my opinion, I don't think those were red cards, the ones to Trossard and Declan Rice. And we'll see by the end of the season how many reds are given or second yellows for kicking the ball away. But this one, there's no doubt about it. It was a red card. Arsenal were poor just before that anyway, so you can't really blame anything apart from Arteta, Saliba and Trossard for that kind of sequence of play. And I just think Arteta wasn't brave enough in how he handled going down to 10 men and also just probably the way Arsenal played, even with 11. So it's a one-off maybe, you could argue, but this needs to stop in terms of getting red cards every single match, it seems, because you're not going to get anywhere that way, and Arsenal might even struggle to finish third if they keep on this path. But I'm sure they'll sort things out there. But for those with triple up in Arsenal, especially a double up in the Arsenal defence, you just want to get rid of them now, don't you? At least one of them. And I'm looking at either David Raya or Gabriel on the chopping block, but things change so quickly in FPL and football, and it wouldn't surprise me if they kept a clean sheet against Chelsea or Newcastle, although against Liverpool, they might get a win, even without Saliba, who is suspended, of course, but I don't see them keeping a clean sheet against the Reds. I haven't checked, but I don't have more than 4.5 points. 4.5, right? I just wonder which players you have, but it can seem that way. I get it. I'm not even happy with my score, and the only thing I'm grateful for is the green arrow, and that's purely because of Mikalenko. FPL Kevy says, won't even start on the bench situation. Keane chilling there with 11 points for me. That is a madness. I think in a lot of cases I did recommend people to start someone else over Keane, and there was still an opportunity for Branthwaite to start, but yeah, I did have Keane in the final predicted lineup in the live stream earlier, the deadline stream, but yeah, for him to get 11 points is just, you can never really anticipate that, and he's going to get 3 bonus, actually it's 2 bonus points, I think, and dies on for maximum, so yeah, it's going to be 13 overall. Sorry to let you know. 24 points and disaster game weeks continue. But it might be a green arrow in the rank you're at. Maybe if you're, around 200k or above, it might be a red arrow. But at least where I'm at, it's actually a minimal green. They've seemed to get a good attachment to red cards. I think last season Arsenal barely got any. But before that, under Arteta, like if you actually look since he's been appointed, Arsenal have by far the most red cards. So last year might have been an anomaly. But yeah, we're back to the kind of norm here. I think Arsenal could maybe break the record, which is 9, set by the likes of Sunderland, I think, and a few other teams. I think Arsenal will end up getting like 5 or 6 yellows at the very least, and probably at this rate, it's going to be more. My Christie and Kluivert were on fire today. Yeah, Kluivert obviously made the difference from the bench. Christie with a great goal. I don't think he played particularly great, but I think Bournemouth overall pressed Arsenal very well, even 11v11, so you got to give them credit. They got the tactics spot on and deserved the win. Hey Dylan, on 18 points, Salah, Lewis, Wood, Trent and Haaland captain. Not too bad. I mean, you've got Salah and Haaland, and you also got the robot as the captain. Trent is also a good option at all times. I'd be very confident in the value of a green arrow, although if you're in a high rank, maybe it's going to be difficult. I get the red card, but still. Look, like I said, I think it's a red card, so I don't really have any complaints there. You can always point towards lack of consistency and stuff, like there have been opportunities, or there have been occasions, should I say, where, the kind of, was it justification for not giving a red for the last man is because it's too far away from the goal, but you're never going to expect consistency from referees. This was a red, and you can't really complain. 18 points, Haaland's my only hope. Do you not have anyone else? I'm just wondering. 34 points with 4 players to go, fingers crossed for Haaland. That's not too bad. 34 points is relatively decent, actually. What's with Arsenal, you ask? Easy. The club captain is injured. The talisman was injured today, and their Wally defender got sent off 30 minutes into the match. Yeah, logically speaking, you make a good synopsis. And I think that's not really been mentioned enough, maybe. Missing some key players, and of course the red card changes everything. But even 11v11, I don't think Arsenal would look convincing at all. But it's only 30 minutes into the game, right? So it could have definitely changed. I was still confident Arsenal could get a win under those circumstances, but once that red card happened, I kind of braced myself for the worst. I'm going to use the bench boost next week. Let me know who's on your bench, but yeah, good luck. That's all I can say. With the lack of double game weeks this season, that could work fairly well still. Saludos para vos también, Rod. 20 points on a green arrow is crazy. Yeah, I know, but that's the rank I'm at, right? Well, maybe you're saying that for yourself as well. But yeah, that's how FPL is at the moment. This is a very low-scoring week. A lot of people have a lot of Arsenal investment, and of course, they completely flopped today. Saliba out for Liverpool. We might actually beat Arsenal. Let's go. Well, even with Saliba, I think Liverpool have a chance, but I still think Arsenal can adjust. If Timber's back and you've got Calafiori, also Gabriel and White, that back four is good enough to beat Liverpool, but my main concern isn't just that game, it's the long term, the amount of red cards, and yeah, ultimately that's not sustainable. 16 points, Lewis, Haaland captain, and Wood should be all right for the Green Arrow. Yeah, depending on when you're at, to be fair, but Haaland captain, let's wait and see. Lewis could be benched. There's always that opportunity. Chris Wood against Palace looks fairly decent, but without Gibbs White, I'm not that convinced. Only good player today was Welbeck, and he broke his back. Yeah, that's literally the worst, right? When you've got someone carrying your team, then he gets a back injury. It's just, it is what it is. All Spurs premium players scored or got an attack in return except Johnson. Well, technically, not trying to be a smart ass, but Son's the only premium, so to speak, in the attacking line. I did highlight him as a good captaincy option. He was third in my top 5 rankings. Let's see how Haaland and Salah do tomorrow. They were in my top 2. Yeah, Johnson and Solanke blanking is very surprising. Even Maddison got an assist despite being subbed off at half-time, and Kulusevski was incredible today. But long-term, I stand by what I said. I think Maddison and Johnson are better FPL options. Saliba -3, even though you're sent off, but counted the 2 goals. Yeah, so that's the way the red cards work. In FPL or UCL Fantasy, once a player is sent off, every goal that the team concedes ends up being added to the score or subtracted from the score. That's why the -2 goals resulted in another minus point for Saliba. Next season FC got cooked, says Saga. Mohit says, wait till tomorrow. I feel the Salah owners will be rejoicing. Chelsea are weak down the left. Liverpool is fully healthy. No, I think Salah will do well. That's why he's second in my list for the best captaincy options. I wish I still had him. Overall, the Gameweek 6 wildcard hasn't been great so far, and that's putting it quite mildly. Ultimately, it would have been best if I just didn't play it at all and still had the chip, even still had Salah and Trent in my team. Mahmood says, is Mikalenko nailed for 4.3? He is. The problem with Mikalenko is he always gets injured. There might be an illness. He's just not the most reliable for minutes and consistent starts. Mohit says Liverpool have the best chance this season to capitalise on Arsenal's injuries and the lack of Rodri at City. Well, Saka could be back for Gameweek 9. I'm still fairly confident about that, but let's see what Arteta says in the press conference today. Odegaard will be a massive miss, though. I'm very confident he won't play that game. But yeah, this is a great chance for Liverpool to win this specific game. I still don't think Liverpool will win the league, to be quite honest with you. I think City, it's theirs to lose, as it tends to be, unfortunately. But Liverpool look well poised to be the next ones to challenge alongside Arsenal. But yeah, of course, you can't be too reactionary over one game. And Liverpool have been sensational this season, but their fixtures are now turning. And let's see how they do against the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, and of course the other games coming up like Man City. Sitting on a 9-pointer, bench Rodgers and Mikalenko, that is tough, but that's FPL for you. It's not always going to be, you know, sunshine and roses. There will be some pain. I've had a lot of bench points in the past, even this season, unfortunately. 10 points for Bruggen, and Dunk got a clean sheet. I don't know how it happened. Plus, McNeil wasn't a bad transfer after all. Yeah, McNeil always looked good this week. I'm actually quite surprised he only got 5 points. Yeah, I'm surprised by the Bruggen and Dunk clean sheet, to be fair. I did tell people to kind of avoid Brighton defenders for now, and it looks like I was wrong about that. Clean sheet against Newcastle away, Wolves at home up next, but I still think Brighton concede in Gameweek 9. 14 points overall, very sharp pain in my chest. That's a great way of summing up. 15 points, I'm in the mud. Yeah, but there is a Sunday, you know, Sunday set of games coming up. If you've got Salah, Haaland, Palmer, it's still, you know, you never know. Football's a funny game. Thank goodness Rodgers coming on for Saka. That's decent. 6 points. Unfortunately, he did get the booking, and obviously no bonus points will be accumulated. Arsenal 1 goal conceded in the opening 5 matches. 3 blanks on those 3 fixtures. Yeah, exactly. And you also, yeah, with the Man City game, there was 2 goals conceded, and then Brighton. So yeah, it was 3 goals conceded in 5 games. But that's FPL. I'm not too surprised by Arsenal not keeping clean sheets against Leicester and Southampton. That seems kind of typical. But against Bournemouth, I was very confident they would. But then once the red card happened, I kind of accepted my fate. Okay, let's see. I don't know why this keeps happening, by the way, with the chat overlay. Let's see if it works now. Haaland, Poker, Foden brace, and Henderson clean sheet, and pen save would hit like crack. Well, don't take crack, kids, and fortunately for you, you won't be, because that's not happening. 14 points with Triple C and Cunha to go. Wouldn't mind a cheeky 10-goal thriller. Neither would I, although it'd be great if somehow Wolves could do something, but I very much doubt it. Let me try to see if I can get the live chat working, by the way, because normally I can highlight comments, but for some reason, it's not working right now. So let's see if I can now get this to work. Eating Dylan, apologies not being in the deadline streams recently. Work at 11 on Saturday is rough. No worries, mate. I appreciate you being here. And you are the first highlight message of the afternoon, the night. I've lost my head. But I appreciate you joining. Kudus literally recreated the slap movie. Yeah. I mean, that was a blatant red card, and he's probably going to get retrospective ban. I don't know how many games, but it's going to be quite extensive. Maybe 3 to 5 games. 22, captain and all remaining. Ollie, McNeil, Rogers did well. Martinez was on the bench, could have gone bonkers. Yeah, but Fulham scored, as we all predicted. Martinez made the penalty save. It was a terrible penalty by Andres Pereira. I know Emmy's, one of the best of all time at penalty shootouts and saving penalties. But that was purely because of Andres Pereira. Poor execution. I do think the mental side of it really got in his head. The fact he's up against Emi Martinez. Bench Pinnock and Mikalenko, and have DCL coming on for Saka. Terrible week. Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. But I don't really blame you for your bench order. I would have done the same thing. Dylan, if you go back and look at the set piece that Bournemouth scored from, Christie was directing the players to send him up to score. It was a bit of brilliance. Yeah, fair enough. My point was that he wasn't brilliant throughout the match, in my opinion, but maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, he did very well for that. I didn't notice that detail you said, though. But yeah, the finish was excellent. 20 points, have 5 more players, including Haaland, captain, Justin Smith-Rowe, Havertz, and Buma Cunha, getting rid of Porro in Game Week 9. Don't really blame you there. You might want to hold for Ipswich Town at home, but I could still see Spurs winning that game like 5-1. So yeah, don't really blame you. In terms of alternatives, though, at a similar price, maybe Gvardiol, you just go to Konate or Trent. But I assume you'd be downgrading and going to a cheaper defender. Bought Son in for Saka, and on 25 points of Eze, Wood, Haaland, Lewis, and Van Dijk to go. Looking solid. The Son transfer also very well done. I do think Saka can perform well against Liverpool, Chelsea, and Newcastle, but there's no guarantee he's back by Game Week 9, although I think he will be. Thank you to those that are tuning in. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Our aim is to get this stream to over 200 likes, and we're also getting closer towards new goals, like 29k. On the second goal, Kiwior has shown that he's a liability and cannot be trusted in important situations. Yeah, look, Kiwior was poor today. I'm kind of struggling to name one good Arsenal player against Bournemouth, but I think before this match, Kiwior has shown he's dependable a lot of the time. Is he good enough to start games for Arsenal? No. But even last season, he came in a lot of times at left back, put in a shift, and did very well defensively. So I think that's a little bit harsh, but of course, the defending for that goal was unforgivable. It resulted in the penalty, so I understand what you're saying. Is Kulusevski a good choice? He is cheap and playing so well. He's been playing well since pre-season, but I still prefer Maddison if he's fit and Johnson long-term. But Kulusevski is a decent option, at least until Game Week 12 when they face Man City, although he has scored at the Etihad before. We look like the Arsenal of old today, plain and simple. I agree. It was very poor from Arsenal. Do I sell Saliba now? Yeah, he's going to miss the Liverpool game. You might have Raya or another Arsenal defender like Gabriel. I think you'd want to trim that down a little bit. I think so, Spidey. Not completely. And as I mentioned earlier, a clean sheet against Chelsea or Newcastle wouldn't surprise me. But I would get rid of one of them if you've got like a double up. And for those that tripled up, I've always said it. I think tripling up on any team defensively is a massive risk. I've done a double up and I regret it already. Is Saka a sell now? I still think he's a hold, but I'll talk more about this in the Transtips podcast. Unfortunately, it seems like I'm always going to talk about Saka because of the constant injury situations, and I just hate these pointless international friendlies. I know Nations League is competitive, but I don't buy that bullshit. Callum Jr. says, Son in for Saka worked out well for me. Currently on 30 points of Palmer, Trent and Salah captain, top 100k so far. By far my best start. Really good stuff, and yeah, great transfer of course of Son. Palmer, Trent and Salah captain to go. Your only real concern is Haaland. He's the only thing that can ruin things for you. Arsenal versus Liverpool next week. How will Arsenal survive without Saliba? Well, if Timber's available, I think Arsenal could easily play a back four of Calafiori, Gabriel, Timber and Ben White, which is still very solid. But, of course, it's not Saliba. It's not the same partnership with Gabriel, which works in tandem all the time. Saliba had a bit of a shaky international break with France, and he's carried that over to Arsenal. Do you think the Saliba red will get overturned? No. No chance of that happening whatsoever. Until Odegaard returns, you cannot trust the Arsenal defence, and they have a tough run of fixtures. Everton looking decent, and Liverpool are the defence to target. Nottingham Forest too. Well, Odegaard's very important with the pressing, but I don't think it's just that. You know, Saka, of course, was a massive miss, but they just didn't look quite at it today. The balance with the midfield and the forward line just really didn't connect. Martinelli should have come on for Trossard much sooner, but he missed that glorious chance to put Arsenal 1-0 up. And then moments later, Christie scores the opener, and the rest is history. Solanke barely getting any chances in the Spurs attack. In the last 2 games, you're right, that is true. But I still think it's a nice option to tick along, get goals and assists every 2 or 3 matches. But my biggest issue with Solanke has always been the lack of bonus points he has shown this season. So happy with Buonanotte and McNeil delivering for me this game week. Yeah, Buonanotte has been sensational for Leicester City this season, and McNeil has the high ceiling, got an assist today, great fixtures, good moves. 30 points, 100k to 41k so far with Sells, Gvardiol, Foden and Haaland captain to play. Will I survive? Yes, I think you will. Of course, Salah and Palmer, even Trent, they're the kind of free ones to look out for tomorrow. But there's not really any threats to your rank beyond those 3. Time for Smith-Rowe, Havertz to leave for Son, Foden and Raul, sitting on 17 points with Salah, Haaland and Lewis. Complete disaster. Yes, but my prediction is that you'll easily double your score by the end of tomorrow, which might not be too reassuring, but that's the way I feel. I was convinced that Smith-Rowe would do something against Villa today. I was wrong, and I think making those 2 transfers probably looks very good. Let's see if Foden starts tomorrow and gets good enough minutes. You might want to go for Son for the time being, but I still would probably lean towards Foden as things stand. Of course, we'll see what happens in the game against Wolves. Yeah, good stuff, Adnan. I think I read your comment earlier, but yeah, 10 points by Verbruggen and Dunk. Really, really good stuff. Word of advice, please don't take point hits this early in the season unless you know the player coming in is expected to haul across multiple fixtures. Everyone in the overalls are close to each other. Yeah, generally speaking, you're right. I think hits, it's not necessarily that you should avoid them, but you should be careful. You shouldn't just take hits for the sake of it. Otherwise, you're going to limit your chance of green arrows and doing well. But sometimes FPL can be volatile with the price changes and also with performances. And, if you just make random transfers, something will stick. That's the way it can be. And I'm just being completely honest about that. But, yeah, I think with some high-quality players like Saka even, I'd always be careful with selling them for a hit. Arteta just not there yet. Poor winning mentality can make Arsenal a good team, but not trophy contender. I disagree. I think he got things completely wrong today, but I do think Arteta has the winning mentality. He just gets things wrong sometimes with substitutions. I think that's his biggest flaw. Sometimes he takes too long to make them, but I really disagree with the poor winning mentality from him. If anything, some players might have that, or the club itself have had it for a few decades, but not Arteta. I'm going to get Raul and Palmer for Game Week 9 for Smith-Rowe and Havertz. You won't find me complaining. I think that looks good. Yes, Semenyo got a yellow for kicking the ball away. He did. Like I said, there have been some yellow cards issued for kicking the ball away, but how many? How many have not been given? And in terms of second yellows, I think Arsenal are the only team to have suffered that. But, of course, today wasn't a red card because of that. It was because Saliba did a foul with the last man standing, so you could understand that red card. Bad week already? Yeah, it seems to be the story of the season so far for a lot of us. 23 points of Sells, Trent, Lewis, Wood, Haaland, captain to go. Seems like a lot of us are in a similar situation between, 10, 30 points. I mean, I'm not seeing anything too high. If you do get 50 plus this week, you'll be very happy. I have Keane coming off the bench for Saka. Wow, fair play. Enjoy the points. 26 points, 6 to play. Good stuff. That's a really strong position to be in this week. Chasley says, I took a -4, Kai and Saka out, Kovacic and Haaland in. Haaland's a great transfer. I don't think Kovacic is, though. You'll probably find yourself selling him very soon. Sazad says, with 34 points, I jumped from 1.2 million to 580k. Good stuff. Took Buonanotte punt, and man on man, it turned out gold for me. Who did you sell to get Buonanotte? That's why I'm kind of wondering. Maybe it was Semenyo, but that's good. DCL continues to disappoint. 3 blanks in a row. Yeah, I'd probably sell him at this point. I said this before the game. If he blanked against Ipswich Town, I'd look to sell, but it'd be typical for him to score next week, wouldn't it? But yeah, I think there are better options elsewhere. Welbeck if he's fit, although I'm not too optimistic about that. Cunha and Wissa are definitely 2 amazing options, I think, for their price. Of course, Delap is still very solid. I like him. Raul Jimenez is in excellent form. Scoring, well, I think he's returned in the last 5 games, actually. I bench Keane's mega haul and Vardy's party. On the bright side, Vardy only got 5 points, but Keane will be 13, so that's not looking too good. Keane gave me 13 points from the bench. Overall, 30 points. Yeah, some points jam is happening this week. Unfortunately, I've got Semenyo, who missed a big chance against Arsenal. And I thought the red card could maybe turn into a slight positive for me with Semenyo doing well, but that wasn't the case. Jimenez in for DCL worth it? Yeah, I think so. Seems like my defense always fails. Can't remember the last time I got defense points apart from Trent. Yeah, and I sold the bloody twat. So yeah, I probably should get Trent back in. The double up in the Arsenal defense just isn't working right now. Is it time to say goodbye to Solanke? Not yet. Not yet, but my plan in a few weeks' time is to downgrade him to a cheap forward. Might be even Cunha or Wissa. And then upgrade one of my defenders to Trent. Buy him back in, accept I was wrong by selling him and move on. City dropouts are really miserable, says Bada. Best time to triple captain. Of course, it's difficult for me to say something way down the line, beyond Gameweek 30 for a potential double game week or an amazing fixture for Salah or Haaland. I think coming up is Gameweek 9 against Southampton for Erling Haaland. That's probably the one I'd look at. 26 points left with Edison, Lewis and Captain Haaland. So you're kind of all in on City. Not too confident of a clean sheet, but I think Haaland will get you quite a few returns. Best defenders to bring in for Gameweek 9. I want to target Forest and Fulham's good fixtures. Well, in that case, you're looking at Robinson. And I'd also say either Milenkovic or Aina. Time to bring in Son for Saka. Possibly. I'd still keep Saka personally if he's fit for Gameweek 9. And I think it will be quite telling if he's in the squad or not against Shakhtar on Tuesday. Jared says Solanke to Jimenez or Johnson to Dibbling to fund Palmer. I would rather do Solanke to Jimenez out of those two moves. I think Johnson to Dibbling is a major downgrade, while Solanke to Jimenez isn't that bad based on current form. If anything, it's an upgrade. Thank you, Adski, as he says, smash the like button and subscribe. Or should I also consider transferring out Mavididi, even if you have good fixtures? I can't remember your first comment, but possibly. Okay, so you said this. What do you think about a -4 hit, Raya to Anana or Fleckin and Robertson to Robinson? I see why you're looking at it, but not a big fan of a hit for a goalkeeper, even if Raya's facing Liverpool and Arsenal haven't kept a clean sheet in 4 game weeks now in the Premier League. I'd probably avoid that Raya to Anana move now, but maybe you could do it in Game Week 10. I personally think West Ham will score against United anyway, so that would be my advice about it. Robertson to Robinson looks fine. I don't mind that so much. 37 points with 4 yet to play. Good stuff, Ahmed. Palmer, Haaland, Captain, Kanate and Lewis. Now hoping Pep rests Lewis and I get Keane off the bench. Steady on, mate. Enjoy the 37 points. You're asking for a bit too much. Omara says, hello, Dylan. Rogers would come in for Saka and Vardy. Bruno, McNeil delivered, but I started Gabriel and Dallo. Keane was on my bench. A lot of Keane bench points I'm looking at, but some people are getting him off the bench. I still have Edison, Lewis and Captain Haaland. Yeah. Well, good players remaining, but no Liverpool, no Chelsea coverage, and really it's just Palmer you have to be worried about there. Not really wasting. I mean, Maddison had a great performance in the first half, creating 5 chances. He's got that injury record in him, so that's always a possibility. Cunha's never really someone to haul this week. If he gets something, you'd be grateful if you started him. But he's more of a Game Week 9 and beyond kind of pick. Sold Saliba to Gavardio in the last minutes and dodged a red card. Wow. I don't know what went into you, but it worked. Keane and Raul on my bench. I'm very sad. Pray for me. Well, unfortunately, prayers aren't really going to do anything here. The deed is done. Unless you've got someone like Lewis and maybe, something happens tomorrow. He just doesn't play. But you're asking for a lot. I had Saliba. Do I sell? Yeah, Saliba's a sell. He's missing the Liverpool game. Then it's Chelsea and Newcastle away. And if you've got Raya or Gabriel already, it's probably a good time to trim down the Arsenal defence a little bit. But just don't be surprised if Arsenal now suddenly get their act together and get a lot of clean sheets. It's kind of what they've been doing for the last couple of years. Is Raul the best cheap striker right now? On current form, yes, I'd have to say so. But there's also Delap. Danny Welbeck is arguably even better, but he's got a back injury. We'll see how long it's going to be. There's so many options this season at a similar price. I like Ndiaye, for example, but not to the same level as the others I just mentioned. At 36 points, Salah, Sanchez and Eze left, assuming Haaland, of course. Oh, right. Yeah, 36 points is good. Decent players left, so it's looking pretty decent. I find it funny when you swear. I usually never hear you swear, so it makes it hilarious, you bloody twat. Yeah, I didn't know what to say. You can maybe blame Arsenal for that. Would you take a -4 to get Wood and Aina in for Saliba and Joao Pedro? Yes, I would. But if you've got someone else to come in for Saliba, you might want to reconsider that hit, because if you've got a decent option, it could be Mikalenko, someone like that, you might want to avoid the hit for now. But I definitely do Joao Pedro to Wood if you can. Plan was to free hit next game week for Haaland. However, the Son to Saka move was to keep Palmer without a free hit. I think I'm going to admit I'm not going to have Haaland for Southampton. Salah to Foden might be risky. Yeah, it's not great on paper, but look, football's a funny game, mate. And if City score 4 or 5 and Haaland doesn't do anything, that I'm not going to say it doesn't surprise me, because look, you'd still expect Haaland to do something, but it's just, don't put it past football. It can happen. So 5 free transfers. Would you do Salah to Palmer, Saka to Foden, Semenyo to Johnson, Gabriel Nuri, and Stuart to Solanke? They all look great, but you don't need to use every single transfer, in my opinion. Gabriel's still a decent option long term. I still think he's one of the best defenders, actually. Semenyo to Johnson looks great, but I mean, look, Johnson played well today, came close to scoring a few times, but is he approaching the end of his run? Of course, 7 games in a row, and of course he blanked today. I don't know. I just reconsider in terms of using all 5 of your free transfers, but on the face of it, I like buying in Palmer, Foden, Johnson, Aït-Nouri, and Solanke. But if possible, I'd keep Gabriel. I like him. Thank you for the super chat, Mackenzie. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Been a stinker of a week. Overall, still a great season for me. 15 points from 6, 7 off safety. Went from 31k to 52,000. Have Foden and Jota as differentials, though. Love your streams. Man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And hopefully tomorrow is much better for you. But yeah, you've got 5 players left. You might even have a captain, so technically you've got an extra player, so to speak. A lot could happen in the Sunday matches, even on Monday night between Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. But yeah, with the rank you're at, I wouldn't be concerned whatsoever. I'd easily trade places if we could, but enjoy it, and hopefully you can turn things around tomorrow. But either way, what is there to turn around? You're doing well. Well, Dylan, tell me, mi amigo, how are you feeling after that dismal performance? That's been covered already. It was terrible. Raya was shaky. Arteta got things wrong. What else could I say? Trossard passing the ball back was criminal. Saliba obviously making the mistake. And in the end, Arsenal deserved to lose. There's not much more to really elaborate on that. But I wasn't convinced even with 11v11, with the performance and with the structure. Are you not afraid to have double Arsenal defence, Ryan Gabriel, for the next 3 game weeks? Against Liverpool at home a little bit, especially without Saliba. But I don't really mind against Chelsea or Newcastle. But based on what's happened recently, I'd love to get rid of one of these players, either Raya or Gabriel, and maybe find a bit more money, which can help me in other areas, potentially to buy Trent back in a few weeks' time. So yeah, I think the plan will be to trim it down. I'm also a bit superstitious. I don't want to jinx my own team. So maybe I've been ruining things for my own club. That's the way I'm looking at it. Yeah, Haaland captain, says Mackenzie. Yeah, so I think you'll be fine. Now, if Haaland blanks, the good thing about it is a lot of people would have done the same thing. So it won't necessarily cost you. But if you can get something, then that will probably help you a little bit in your quest for a green arrow. Not much, though. His EO is absolutely insane. Who should I sell Havertz for? Probably budget strikers. I'd be looking at Cunha or Wissa. I really would. Dylan, Rotter from Brighton looks quite legit, as does Buonanotte from Leicester. Yeah, I haven't discussed Rotter too much in my FPL videos, but Buonanotte has been highlighted a lot of times, actually. And I watched him back in his Rosario Central days. I even saw him live, actually. Actually, am I getting that wrong? No, I'm getting him confused with Aleko Velis last year. But Buonanotte is a very good player. I do like the look of him. He's still very raw, so he will be quite inconsistent. But he's been fabulous for Leicester. I've got 1 free transfer. Should I do Saka to Palmer? I probably would, yeah. I think Saka isn't as good of a captaincy option in Game Week 9 as Palmer. I think you could easily go for him against Newcastle at home, then Man United away. In that direct match between Chelsea and Arsenal, I don't see much in it. And with Palmer being at home, you might give him the edge as well. Then long term, Chelsea have great fixtures. So yeah, as much as I like Saka, I would probably buy Palmer. Thoughts on Saka and DCL to Son and Wissa, or Foden and Cunha? That is very close. I like Cunha a lot, but I'd probably go for Son and Wissa. The only problem with that is if you've got Mbeumo already and you double up on the Brentford attack, but they were doing really well at the beginning of the season. In the first 3 game weeks, it was a great duo. As a Leicester fan, that brilliant comeback was so special. I'm on a huge red arrow, but I cannot be bothered. yeah, when I was getting red arrows but Arsenal were winning, I much preferred that. So I definitely take that all day long. But yeah, it was a great comeback. 98th minute winner. There's not a better feeling in football. What's your thoughts on Mbeumo captaincy next week? He's right up there for me. Ipswich have the worst defence in the league. In terms of XGC, expected goals conceded, they are bottom. But there's also Palmer. Erling Haaland against Southampton is so tough to look against, and maybe that's being boring, but I just can't see myself going against Erling Haaland next week, and if he blanks, I'll be happy that I jinxed him. Was Welbeck's injury really that bad? I didn't see it myself, but I've heard that it's not looking too good, so I'm hoping for the best there, and he's been sensational this season. I sold Saka for Palmer, another gimmick for the books. Yeah, look, Saka can still do well in the next couple of weeks, but I think those that sold him already will be quite happy with how things have panned out. Is it worth to use transfers on keepers? Yes. Not a big fan of Edison, though. I never have been, and I never will be. There was one season where Edison did fairly well, FPL-wise. Wouldn't really recommend it. And if you got only David Raya to cover Arsenal defensively, I'd consider holding that, because Arsenal still have one of the best defences in the Premier League, and it's tough to judge them when in 3 games they've been down to 10 men. I think it will even out over the season, and we'll see them go to the top 2 for XGC and also eventually clean sheets. I think I'm a lot more comfortable keeping Trent for the Arsenal match. However, it means I'm limited on other moves as I have no budget. You have to make compromises. That's why I sold Trent last week to buy Cole Palmer. I did regret it points-wise, but let's see if Palmer can repay the faith, so to speak. But ultimately, you can't have Trent, Palmer, Salah, Haaland all at the same time whilst having a balanced squad. Should I bench Gabriel? I've got Aina, Mikalenko and Trent. I mean, on the face of it, you could do, but I don't know. I'd still start Gabriel. There's a chance of him getting a goal from a set piece. Last season, back in December, he did score against Liverpool at Anfield, so he's the type of player you never really want to bench, even if it's not looking too good right now. Yeah, Welbeck should be on 9 points, that's right. Pickford is smashing it since my wildcard on Gimmick 6 when I got Raya. Typical, and something similar happened last season when Pickford had a terrible start to the season. People sold him, and then he went on a massive run. Everton always do this, it seems. That's why I kept Mikalenko on the wildcard. And thankfully, he did something for me. How many games will Saliba miss? Only one, because it wasn't as you say, it's a non-violent red card. So yeah, it should be just one match against Liverpool. He'll be available for Chelsea and Newcastle, both away matches in Game Weeks 10 and 11. Dylan, it's almost midnight in Ethiopia. 7 points so far, left with Sanchez, Konate in for Saka, Lewis, Palmer, Jackson, Haaland captain. Yeah, terrible score right now, but you've got some good players coming up. And I think, you've got some really good players like Haaland captain, Palmer. So I could see it working out for you in the end. You're definitely going to improve that score quite dramatically. So I do wish you the best, and thank you for tuning in at such a late time. If I were you, I'd just sleep or just do something else. It's not worth stressing over FPL. Sold Saka for Son. Wish Son scored that ball that hit the bar or stayed longer on the pitch. Could have been a haul. Yeah, and the fact there was a Areola own goal in the end, a bit unfortunate for Heung-min Son. Otherwise, it would have been his assist. I'm thinking of doing Saka and Joao Pedro to Son and Jimenez. Game Week 12, bring back Saka and bring Joao Pedro when fit. Decent plan, but there are so many budget forwards. There's Danny Welbeck if he's fit. You've got Cunha, Wissa, Delap, Jimenez. You might not even go to him in the end. I'll bring in Pickford when Branthwaite is back personally. Yeah, but the 2 clean sheets Everton have kept this season have been without Branthwaite, actually. But I still completely agree with what you're saying, and I understand it. Is Maddison a sell? Wait for more information. I wouldn't be looking to sell him just yet against Palace away. Spurs have a good run of fixtures. Ipswich at town. My head is on Mars. Ipswich at home in a couple of weeks' time as well is looming large for Tottenham Hotspur. I could see Spurs scoring 4 or 5 in that game. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. Davis to Lewis for free to bench Gabriel. Already have Gavadio. Yes, but with Rico Lewis, there's a chance he's benched. If he plays against Wolves tomorrow and in the Champions League, do not be surprised if he is on the bench against Southampton at home. Is Garnacho now a better option than Johnson? Difficult to say after just one match. And this season, Johnson has been better. But I do like United's fixtures. Garnacho also got 10 points today. Maximum bonus points. Really good performance. I think if I'm buying one right now, it would be Garnacho. But up until this point of the season, Johnson has been better. Downgrade Saka to which midfielder so I can upgrade my 4.5 million striker? I still like Mbeumo a lot. Jarrod Bowen. I'd also be looking at the likes of Maddison if he's fit, Johnson. And of course, you've got McNeil at a very cheap price if you can, if you're able, not able, if you want to go to that sort of structure. But if not, you're kind of looking at a similar price. You know, Palmer is the kind of obvious one. If you don't have Palmer, I'd buy him in right now. I honestly would. But of course, you're looking for a downgrade to then make that striker upgrade. So yeah, I'd probably go to one of the midfielders I mentioned earlier, preferably Mbumo, Jarrod Bowen, or possibly McNeil. My real point will be in UCL Fantasy. This FPL is more stressful. My FPL challenge points almost the same as FPL points. Yep, same here. I think I got 12 points in the end for FPL challenge. I jinxed double Arsenal defence on both fantasy formats, unfortunately. Yeah, UCL Fantasy was poor for me in match day 2, so I'm kind of hoping that I can get back on track. And I normally do well in that fantasy format anyway. Want to take Saka out for the next 3 game weeks, Son or Foden in? I'd still give the edge to Foden, but he's a much bigger risk. With Son, you're not going to really worry, is he going to start or not? With Foden, you're always going to have that headache, but I'd probably just take the risk and go for him. Don't you think Arsenal defence is more solid against big teams? Perhaps, but like I said, it's difficult to judge when they go down to 10 men, because before that, I don't think Bournemouth really created anything, just the David Raya mistake, where Semenyo had the shot. But even like 60 minutes into the game, you know, Bournemouth had like an XG figure of 0.78. You know, they didn't, I want to say didn't look like scoring, but it's not like they, you know, create so many big chances and, you know, they really were due a goal. But eventually the pressure kind of told, and that was a great goal by them from the set piece, and things changed. You might be right. I think Arsenal might concentrate a little bit more against big teams. I said something similar about Aston Villa very recently, but I still think they'll get a lot of clean sheets this season. It's just kind of a blip, a bad period for them, getting 3 red cards in 8 games. 17 points for 5 to play. Yeah, it's decent. It's not great, but I think you still have the chance of a green arrow, even at a high rank. I have Diaz and Trent for next week. Do you think now with Saliba out will benefit them? Oh, definitely. But a back four of of Gabriel, Calafiori, Timber and White is still very solid. And Arsenal might employ a more defensive approach in that game. Everybody has those players. Not necessarily. It might seem that way in terms of Rico Lewis, but trust me, his ownership isn't that high unless I'm kind of undervaluing it. So yeah, 14.4% ownership. It's just a lot of people on YouTube or Twitter, you know, will say, oh, I've got Rico Lewis. So it seems like everyone has him, but that isn't the case. Thoughts right to Kelleher for free? Not a big fan of that because Alisson should be available after the next international break in a couple of game weeks' time. So you have Kelleher for like 3 game weeks against Chelsea, well, not Chelsea, Arsenal away, Brighton at home. It's not really the best, is it? Arsenal defence is solid when fully healthy. Not having Timber this week hurt us as Kivio's a liability. Yeah, but ultimately I think Arsenal still could have kept the clean sheet with 11. I think once Saliba went off, it was a matter of time before they kind of just conceded and caved in. Gosh, keen on my bench. You're not the first one, mate. A lot of people are in that situation, so don't worry about it. Bowen looks so good. I wish I had him. Yeah, and a bit unfortunate not to get the assist today, according to FPL. So if you want double C defenders, Gavardio and Diaz Akanji probably the best, safest picks. Yeah, I think Akanji and Gavardio would be the safest ones, so to speak, but I wouldn't double up on City defensively. I think one's enough. You know, they could easily win 3-4-1 in the next couple of matches, but they're not the most reliable. If I'm looking at the games coming up for City, I think they'll keep a clean sheet against Southampton at home. And that's pretty much it. I don't think they do against Liverpool away, Tottenham at home, Brighton away. No. You could say Wolves away now, you know, tomorrow, but I honestly don't see many clean sheets for City. I really don't. Forest at home, possibility, yeah. But we're talking about, what, 2 clean sheets max in the next 5? At least on paper. Look, everyone thought Arsenal would against Bournemouth today, so football is full of surprises. But I still think Lewis is a solid choice. He may be benched here and there, consistent 90s in my opinion. Yeah, the reason why I went for him is because of Rodri's injury. I think that opens up the door for Lewis to play a lot of games in the midfield, so I think that boosts his opportunities. I think it's time to sell either Gabriel or Raya, I think. Yeah, look, it looks like a good time right now. All I'm saying is don't be surprised if Arsenal start shoring up at the back, not getting red cards and keeping clean sheets, even against Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle. Although, if I had to make a prediction right now, I think Arsenal will get 1 clean sheet over the next 3, maybe 2 over the next 4, but not enough for a defensive double-up. 22 points with Trent, Diaz, Lewis and Haaland captain left to play. Looking good. Saka to Son now or wait till Foden plays tomorrow? Yeah, I'd wait until Foden plays tomorrow. He would be my preference still over Heung-min Son. I always said that I like Son a lot for West Ham at home, even as a captaincy choice. But in the next couple of weeks, I know Ipswich Town looks amazing for him, but the other games might be a bit tougher or lower scoring. Is Salah worth the extra money over Palmer? Salah's always a great choice, but I wouldn't. I mean, in answer to your question, I'd probably say no. I think Palmer offers better value. Duarte says, I have a great team on paper, 11 points on only 4 players left. Yeah, it's good that you recognise it might still be a good team. Sometimes it could be good decisions and bad outcomes. That's the way FPL is. It's part of the beauty and pain of the game. But yeah, 4 players left. You just have to hope you get to 30 plus and salvage something. Yeah, well, I'm not entirely sure in terms of, why they're not keeping clean sheets in the last 3 game weeks, but I think this season it's difficult to judge them defensively because of the red cards against Man City, Brighton, and Bournemouth. Welbeck was a gamble. It played well, yeah, but Welbeck has been so consistent this season. Buying him in this week would have been a very nice touch, but you just have to hope he is fit now against Wolves at home. Problem with Bowen is that Lopetegui keeps pushing him to that centre-forward position. His playing style is like Saka's, so quite a waste. Well, Bowen plays his best football on the right, you are correct about that, but from what I saw in the Spurs-West Ham game, he was on the right a lot of times. He would drift in, of course, try to create chances and have a shot on goal, but yeah, with Jarrod Bowen, I still like him a lot. I could see him doing well against United, and in the coming weeks, I think Bowen is a good transfer. I almost did it in Game Week 7, and it would have been decent. With Semenyo likely to drop in price tonight, should we sell him to not lose the 0.1? No. I wouldn't do that because unless you're going to be priced out, why, kind of chase these price changes and stuff like that when you've got the Champions League in midweek, you've got the Europa Conference League, the Europa League, and we still got 2 games tomorrow and 1 on the Monday. I personally don't think it's worth it. Thank you, FPL Diamond, as always, for the shout-outs. I appreciate it. I love this Saturday reaction stream. Brilliant idea, Dylan. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred to do it tomorrow, generally speaking, but more people like it on the Saturday, and also tomorrow's a bit of a tricky one. Is it time to replace Saka and go with Palmer? Yeah, possibly, but I still like Saka in the long term, but I think for those with triple Arsenal, you've got decisions to make to sell 1 or 2 of them. Agreed on the City point. I went for Gvardiol in Game Week 1 and kept him since. Will probably continue to hold and up to sell Trent if I want the funds. Yeah, honestly, if I could go back in time, I'd keep Trent all day long. And if anything, not go for Solanke. Obviously, getting Palmer, I think, was the right call from me. But yeah, there's a lot of things I'd like to do with more free transfers, and I might just have to roll, go with what I have, and then eventually make these moves and improve my team. But I might have to be honest with you, mate. I know Liverpool have tough fixtures. I'd rather have Trent than Gvardiol. 36 points after bonus. Verbruggen with a massive 10-pointer. Yes, it was an incredible performance. I think he made 6 saves in the end, so that's really good stuff. Okay, the bonus points haven't been added yet on the FPL website, but they should be very soon, probably in the next hour or so. 34 points with Trent, Salah, Haaland, captain left. Need Palmer to stay quiet and City clean sheet wipe. I'm hoping for the opposite, mate. City clean sheet will be good if Rico Lewis starts, and Cole Palmer. I need a masterclass from him, but yeah, you're well poised for a green arrow with Trent, Salah, and Haaland. Triple captain Haaland tomorrow. Am I crazy? Well, it's done. You can't undo it. I don't think it's crazy. I always said Game Week 8 or 9 was a great opportunity. My preference would be Southampton, but the minutes might be a bigger risk by that stage. Well, they have changed the bonus point system this season, especially in regards to goalkeepers and penalty saves, so it's much more difficult for a goalkeeper to get in and amongst the bonus points, even with a penalty save. If he had a clean sheet as well, then maybe he would have been on course for 2 or 3, but that wasn't the case. Bro should add therapist on a CV with his reaction streams, possibly, although I need it for myself rather than anyone else. Set and forget double Arsenal defence, they said in the notorious Game Week 6 wildcard. Yeah, I don't know exactly if I said that or not. I'm not going to claim that I did or that I didn't, but I thought it would be really good, and 1 clean sheet would have been kept by now. But for there to be 0, to concede twice to Bournemouth and Leicester, it's just not looking good. Solanke has been getting the chances he needs as the target man. He wasn't getting any big chances during the game. Is it time to sell him, even with Ipswich Town coming up? He has been disappointing, but I'd still keep him for a few more weeks. I think by that stage, if he doesn't haul against Crystal Palace or Ipswich Town, you probably look to offload him and just go for the cheaper options like Cunha, Wissa, and the others. What's your worst FPL points in history? I can't remember, but probably around 20, maybe 10. I think 1 week I took like a -20 in hits. I was just playing for fun. I wasn't even taking it seriously. And yeah, I must have gotten like 10, 20 points or something ridiculous. Even last season, there was Game Week 29, which was awful for me. And I think I played the free hit. I can't remember, and it's better to not remember it. Hi, Dylan. Would you start Vandenberg next week against Ipswich? And who would be your top Raya replacements? That's what I'm currently doing, but I'll talk more about that in the team selection. As for Raya replacements, probably Anana, Sanchez long term, but Newcastle United and Arsenal doesn't look great. I don't see a clean sheet for Chelsea in that period. Longer term, though, it looks good. But yeah, those two. Flecken for save points, I guess, but I'm not a big fan of him. Yeah, probably Anana is the one. I still think Raya could be worth holding on to long term. I have to say that. Live FPL to see bonus now. Yeah, that's how I got all the graphics on the left-hand side updated. So Semenyo's 2 points is coming off my bench. I'm up to 1.2 million in rank. A very small green arrow as things stand. And as long as Salah is relatively quiet, I think a green arrow could be achieved. My prediction, though, is for Salah to do very well and for this green to turn into a red by the Monday. Hope Mbeumo will compensate next week now that Wissa is back. Yeah, but Mbeumo's been so consistent, you can forgive him to blank once. But yeah, that duo is a really good one. I wouldn't mind going for both of them. Hi, Dylan. Would you transfer out Mavadidi for Bowen McNeil? Yes, I would. Also, are you not afraid? I did cover that question about the Arsenal defence. I'm not afraid, no, because I went for the double up in the Arsenal defence for a reason. They had the best record last season, and even up until Game Week 8, it's tough to judge them with the 3 red cards against Bournemouth, City, and Brighton. But at the moment, would I like to sell one of Raya or Gabriel? Yes, I would, and I might do it, but nothing's set in stone right now. Dylan, we got hurt today by having Timber out as well. The moment Kivior came on, we were in trouble. Look, I see what you're saying. Timber is a really good player, and not having him, not having Odegaard, and not having Saka is obviously massive blows, but I just think Arsenal were poor today, and the red card is ultimately what kind of, gave Bournemouth the massive advantage, and they were always going to have a great chance of winning the game. I still think with Kivior and let's say Arsenal had 11 men, they could have easily gone on to win the game. Spurs impressed me on the attack side. Son back to his lethal self. Yes, he did hit the crossbar. He had a few good shots throughout the game, and ultimately Son looks like a good purchase for the next couple of weeks. But I still think with, for a similar amount of money, I'd rather go for Palmer. So if you don't have him, I just go in that direction instead. Do you think Constant Creators have ruined the game like everyone has the same team? Depends on how you look at it. I don't like the fact that people copy in UCL Fantasy or FPL. That's why sometimes I try to minimize copying as much as possible. But if I had to say, I'd probably say no. And you also have to give blame to the people watching who do copy and try to guarantee a good rank or a good mini league finish by copying someone else. So my answer will be no. But I can understand why people feel that way. Semenyo won't drop. He looked deadly, and that was versus Arsenal. Yeah, but he did miss some big chances, and ultimately it was against 10 men. I still think a lot of people will sell Semenyo, and yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he does go down in price this week. Son got the assist, here we go. Oh, great, more pain. More pain. Did he get the assist? Let me check that. Let me refresh this and see if he got the assist. He probably did, didn't he? Yeah, he did. So yeah, Son got a goal and an assist. So that's a massive haul for Son owners. And those that went from Saka to Son will be very happy indeed. Top 10 short says 21 points with Haaland, Salah, Wood, and Trent left, waiting for the bonus points. Good stuff. Yeah. I'm not sure who you have, but you're probably expecting a few bonus points there. Glad I kept Watkins. One more good fixture to go. Yeah, I'm surprised by the massive haul against Fulham, but yeah, Villa were very impressive today. Should I be worried about Gabriel in his next 3 games? If he's your only Arsenal defender, I'd still keep him. I still think Arsenal have a great defence, but it's not looked great in the last couple of weeks. 11 points of Aina, Gavadio, Salah, Haaland captain, Foden, Wood left to play. Yeah, bad score, but a lot of players left. I think that will definitely be turned around. I got 12 last year on the free hit. Yeah, I don't want to think about how much I got, but it was something really bad. It might have been my worst ever game week, especially considering it's a chip being used. Yeah, Newcastle are inept in front of goal. True, Isak missed a big chance, and ultimately, they're not clicking like they were in the previous years. What's your ideal 3 defenders? My defense is always terrible. Long term, my ideal defense will be Trent, Gabriel, and I mean, it depends who your goalkeeper is, but possibly Lewis. I mean, look, maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic there, but Trent is still part of my ideal back three. I have to say that. I'd probably say Trent, Gabriel, and maybe Gavardio, if money is no issue. Got 0 in the bank, do Welbeck to Raul now, or wait for more news as I have a 0.1 million buffer, or sell Gabriel Raya along with Welbeck to upgrade Welbeck to Wissa or Cunha. Yeah, I just wait. And ultimately, I'd find myself recommending the upgrade to Wissa or Cunha and selling one of Gabriel or Raya in the process. Hi Dylan, I got 0.1 million and 4 free transfers. What to do with Saliba? I'd sell him. He's only out for one game against Liverpool, but yeah, I think it's a good time to sell. I have Collins on the bench or who to get, Sharda and DCL. I mean, look, in that scenario, you could maybe keep Saliba, just start Collins and, yeah, kind of roll the transfer and have more available, a bit more flexibility, Eddie. You could do that, to be honest, but yeah, I mean, if you were to sell Saliba, who would you go to? And I don't know who your defensive line is, so it's hard for me to answer. You could go to Gavardio or possibly just roll and start Collins and then look to sell Saliba in the long term. Welcome, Beardy. Good to see you. And refuse the Bowen assist. Yeah, I don't get that. I don't know why they didn't give the assist to Bowen. Who should I bring instead of Mavididi? Budget 9.9 million for a midfielder. Foden. Did Borderot to Gabriel after Gameweek 5, only to get 4 points against Leicester, Southampton and Bournemouth. Yep. But luckily, Borderot hasn't gotten too many returns in that. Well, he hasn't gotten anything, actually. What is your point for your original team without your wild cards? I haven't calculated that. Maybe I'll have a look now just to make myself feel better. Let's have a quick look. Let's see if I can get this up. I mean, look, this week or even last week, it would have been great. But the exact week I wildcarded in Game Week 6, I lost like 20 points or something. So that was the big, concern. So let me get my team up for myself and see what my team would have been like. So, back in Game Week 5, and of course I would have made transfers by then. I would have bought in Mbumo, I would have bought in Saka. Yeah, it wouldn't have been much. Robinson 0 points. Dunk, though, was in my team. He got 6 if I started him. I would have had Trent and Salah left. Gordon blanked. Eze yet to play. Smith Rowe blanked. So yeah, it wouldn't have been great, to be honest. I had Mikalenko, though, and I would have started him. So not really much of a difference. But yeah, ultimately, my team now, yeah, it would have outscored it in Game Week 7 and 8. But not enough, I think, to make up for Game Week 6, at least until now. I have Raya and Gabriel. Should I sell Gabriel? Difficult one to say. I think I'd rather sell Raya. The problem is he's a bit cheaper, so you don't get as much money by selling him. And the goalkeeper alternatives aren't that great, so it's not like you're making a massive improvement. And if anything, I still think Raya is one of the best goalkeepers in FPL, if not the best. It's just today he was awful. Do you have an idea what the mystery ship would be? To be honest, no. We talked a lot about this in pre-season. I saw the ideas you lot came up with, but yeah, I'll just see what happens really with that. I don't think I've actually given too many guesses myself, but probably just best to wait. Was Maddison injured? Yeah. It might not be a major problem, but just to not risk it, they subbed him off. Son is second on bonus now, but still doesn't show. Yeah, I'm not very happy about that. But luckily, Son, his effective ownership isn't too high, so it shouldn't result in a red arrow yet, but maybe I'm wrong and I'm now on a red. Let me actually double check that and see if I can find out. Let's see if I can check how my rank is doing with the Son points being added. I think as things stand, yeah, I'm still on a green arrow because Son's effective ownership is very, very low. But yeah, that's a massive return. And I do slightly regret not going for him now. Maddison injured or tactical? Injured. Just realised I completely forgot about FPL Challenge. Yeah, but I mean, who cares? Is Wissa 100% back next week and is the Brentford double up worth it? Well, he made a cameo today. I think he'll start in Game Week 9 and yeah, I think the double up is worth it. I'm not a big fan of their defenders or Flecken, but Wissa and Mbumo, really good FPL options. Yeah, Pickford is fine as a starting goalkeeper with those fixtures up until game week 14, but it's only a 5 game week period we're talking about now, really, up until December, which is still quite substantial, right? And he can tick along nicely longer term, so that's fine. Yeah, Pickford or Anana would look pretty decent. I've already got Mikalenko, so I'm not really considering that. Let's make an FPL team, one player only from every team. Oh, right. But of course we're complying with the rules, aren't we? About obviously 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 forwards, aren't we? If that's the case, then I'll try to get cracking. These sum points are a joke. Yeah, but it is what it is, right? I mean, it would have been nice if I had him. Yeah, I won't be selling Riot unless he's unavailable, but Gabriel doesn't. Like, he'll get a clean sheet in the next few game weeks. I could sell him for Mazraoui next week if he starts. Yeah, the thing with Gabriel, though, is he could still get a goal out of nowhere, but he has been nerfed in the last couple of weeks. Thoughts on these transfers? Semenyo, Saka, Cole to Foden, Johnson, and Uri? They're fine. There's always a problem selling Saka. He could do well against Liverpool. He's done it before, but overall, I'd do it. Hi Dylan, what's your opinion on Welbeck to Vardy or Welbeck to Wissa and Anana down to a 4.8 million or less midfielder? I like the Wissa transfer, but not a big fan of Anana to a 4.8 million or less midfielder because you're pretty much just going to dibbling. Welbeck to Vardy, I'd rather go to Jimenez, Delap, and also Cunha. Wissa, of course, as well. Yeah, I think if Welbeck is ruled out, I'd sell him to Wissa, but I think as a result, you would then downgrade Anana, which is fair enough, but not ideal. Wissa or Wood for Game Week 9? Wissa. What's your ideal 3 defenders? Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, probably Trent, Gabriel, and Gvardiol long term. Not for Game Week 9, but looking beyond that. Solanke does not seem to be getting as many chances as the wingers in the Spurs attack. Johnson and Son or even Kulusevski seem to be taking more shots. Yeah, that's true. At least it was today and also against Brighton. But Solanke has created a few chances. One for Johnson today and obviously against Brighton where he got the assist for Johnson. But yeah, it's not looking good right now, but he's still a hold for the time being. Yeah, that was a great assist by Bruno Fernandes, yeah. Thoughts on Saka to Foden? If Saka's fit, I'd still like to keep him, but honestly, Foden is a good transfer. Your main concern, though, would be, is he going to start or not every single game? And I don't think that'll be the case. One rule to make the FPL a bit more engaging and interesting. Yeah, possibly. Possibly they could do that, but they're not going to make huge wholesale changes. They still want to appeal to the masses and the casuals, so to speak. What to do with Saka and Havertz after this game week? Havertz sell, Saka maybe keep if he's available. I still like Saka a lot, and he makes a massive difference to this Arsenal team. If I'm wild cutting in game week 12, would you sell Saliba for Borro and replace Eze, Saka to Mbeumo Son for -4? Yes, and I'd sell Eze to Mbeumo. That'd be my preference. Not a big fan of Borro though. I still would rather have Gabriel in the long term, or any Arsenal defender, than the Spaniard. Yeah, Son's still a good transfer. I do prefer Foden, but as I mentioned just now, he is a risk. Why is no one talking about Rashford? He's nailed and looked electric, good differential. I mean, he has been playing well recently, yes. Even against Liverpool, when they got battered, he created a few good opportunities actually for Xerxes, which should have been converted, but yeah, that's fine. I think Garnacho is the one, though. He looked very dangerous today, and I've always said from the beginning of the season, Fernandes and Garnacho for me are the best United assets. I just hope Pep benches Lewis tomorrow. Yeah, hopefully not. I would be in the mud if that happens. Could Eze be a target if he hauls on Monday? The thing with Eze is he just needs 1 goal and he will get 2 or 3 bonus points, but not a target. No, he'd have to do a lot more than that. A lot more than 1 match to kind of prove himself. My risk for Wissa is in case he doesn't start. Other than that, I think he's fine. Yeah, I think he will start, but it's not a guarantee. Would you sell Salah to Palmer next week or roll? I'd probably sell him to Palmer, but I think people might fancy Salah's chances now. You could get Kepa in goal instead of your 2 goalkeepers and can have a shout out. I would not go for Kepa in goal. I do think the clean sheet today, I mean, obviously well deserved, but they're not keeping one against Villa and City. I think they'll lose both games, and I just wouldn't go for Kepa. Bournemouth won't keep many clean sheets this season. Is Salah the best captain for Game Week 10? Game Week 10. arguably, I think it's a bit more open than it would be in Game Week 9, for example. He would be up there, yeah. He would be up there against Brighton, but yeah. There's still a long way to go until then. We'll see what happens with injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, he would be easily in my top 3 as things stand. Rashford's problem is the price. I have one of his goals, so not putting myself via that torture again. Yeah, that's fair enough. Once again, I prefer Garnacho, to be honest. Hi Dylan, how does Saliba get -3? I did cover this earlier. It's because when a player gets a red card, every goal that team concedes after the player's been sent off actually counts towards the player's score. So Arsenal considered twice after Saliba was sent off, and that's why there was a -1 added to the -2, and he got -3. Don't really have an opinion on Stockport County. I don't know much about it, so sorry to disappoint. I think I'm going to triple captain Haaland against Southampton. I think C could easily score 4 or 5, mate. Will Mazraoui start next week because I might roll? If not, I might sell someone. I think Mazraoui will start next week, but it's not a complete guarantee. I think people are right to kind of urge caution with Mazraoui this week when I said I think he'll start now after the update from yesterday. But yeah, I'd keep things as they are. Don't make any transfers just yet because there is still some information to attain from the Sunday games, and on Monday I'd then start to make transfers. But you've still got the Champions League and all this stuff happening. I try to urge caution if possible. In Mbeumo or Haaland in Game Week 9, who gets more goals and assists? Haaland for me. I think Southampton are dreadful. They concede 2-3 goals every single game, and City could easily score double that. Thoughts on DCL, Smith Rowe and Saka to Cunha, Son and Buonanotte for a -4? Or which 2 should I prioritise for 2 transfers? As things stand, it would be DCL and Saka to Son and Cunha, but I think Saka is still a great option, and long term, he is better than Son. I don't know who to replace Havertz with. A budget striker could definitely suffice. You could be looking at Delap, Jimenez, Cunha, Wissa. My favourites would be the latter 2, Wissa or Cunha. 13 points, not great, but if you've got 4 or 5 players left, things can change very quickly. Is Salah just a sell for a Saka and Palmer in Game Week 12? I've been thinking of squeezing in Salah, Palmer and Haaland instead of Saka, however. The thing is with Salah, he's never really a sell, is he? Even now with the tough fixtures, he could do very well against Arsenal. And also beyond that, Brighton at home in Game Week 10. But I still think long term, Saka, Palmer and Haaland is probably the best because it also gives you more money to have Trent at the back and a very solid 50-man squad. Yeah, I've covered Buonanotte a lot of times on this channel, even on my team selections. Drafthand, for example, recommended me to sell Semenyo to Buonanotte. I wish I listened. So yeah, I do like him a lot. I watched him a lot as well at Rosario Central, so I've always had a high opinion of him. Do you think Nketiah Mateta combination will click soon? It depends on the rest of the team and the formation that Glasner goes for. But if they keep on persisting with this 3-4-2-1, I think something needs to change there before they start to click. In Mbeumo, a great differential for the next game week. As a captain, yeah, he'd be a great differential because beyond that, I don't think he will be. I think I'm going to go Solanke to Wissa. That would allow me to go 4.5 million striker to Delap and Van den Berg to Aït-Nouri. Fair enough. I think Wissa's probably a better option than Solanke right now, so I don't mind that. Delap is also good, but there's also Jimenez you might want to consider, and Cunha if you've got the funds. Theo says, I play for under 10s Stockport County. I sound like an absolute twat now for what I just said, so I do apologise. And yeah, good stuff, mate, and all the best with your team and getting the goals, the assists, depending on what position you play. Is free hit viable in Game Week 9? Depends on your team and your setup, to be quite honest with you, Adil. For some people it might be, but honestly, I think a lot of people who are free hitting or looking to free hit is probably because they don't have Haaland and they want to find a way to squeeze him in there, but not have him long term. You see your wildcard team when? Probably Monday. The plan is to record it tomorrow. The Best Limitless podcast is already out for channel members and patrons, and it will be released tomorrow morning. Some information might be a little bit out of date, so to speak, but that's football for you. There's never an ideal time to record something. So yeah, Best Limitless team tomorrow. On Monday, there will be the Best Wildcard and Team Selection podcast, and then on Tuesday, the deadline stream. Pedro to Jimenez or Wissa? If I do Wissa, I'm 0.1 short, so I need to do one more transfer. If you've got Mbeumo already, in that case, just go for Jimenez. That's my current thinking, but I have to say, Wissa against Ipswich looks amazing. He really does. Yeah, agree. Saka better than Son in the long run. Yeah, of course, it's easy now to say Son is amazing and he's a must-have because of a massive return, but yeah, I just think Son's kind of a short-term punt, and beyond Game Week 12, until the end of the season, I think Saka all day long. Not even the end of the season, until, let's say, November or December. Is Vardy a good shout? Yes, but I think Delap, Jimenez, Cunha and Wissa are better. Palmer and Saka to Son and Foden for the next 4? I wouldn't sell Palmer. I honestly wouldn't. Selling Saka I'm a bit more open-minded to, but I honestly think Palmer and Saka is a better duo than what you're getting. Thanks, Dylan, for answering the questions. You asked what I would do with Saliba. If I could play Collins, bench Saliba. I don't. My other defenders are Gvardiol, Mazraoui, Greaves, Collins, Saliba. Okay. So yeah, next week you start Gvardiol, Collins. Not a big fan of Mazraoui or Greaves next week, and let's see if Greaves is injured in the long term anyway. So yeah, I think I would make a transfer actually. So start Collins next week anyway, and I'd look to sell Saliba. It could even be to Gabriel, which isn't ideal against Liverpool at home, but I still like Arsenal defenders long term. Thank you very much, Theo Island, and good luck in Game Week 8, or the rest of Game Week 8, and also the rest of the season. Saka you need, he'll be fully fit against Liverpool, and he has had an assist against Brighton, Tottenham and City and Villa. Yeah, I think why people are looking to go against them is because the next 3 fixtures look tough. Particularly in the away games, I don't see Saka hauling massively. Probably like an assist in those games. It might even be an assist in each of those games, but not enough to really advocate keeping him or saying he's a must-have or must-hold. But I do agree with you. Long-term, Saka is a very good choice, and preferably, you would keep him in your setup. I wasn't crying, by the way. It's just my voice. Bloody streams. DCL to Cunha for me this week. I think that's fine. Brighton away isn't the best fixture, but Cunha could do well there. And long term, I think he's kind of a set and forget. With FPL Challenge this couple of weeks in Test Lab, do you think they will introduce next year for FPL team system points that could add points, not including bonus? Yeah, it's a possibility. I think they said it somewhere in the description where, you know, like, I can't remember the exact words, but basically like an experiment, you know, kind of seeing what the people's feedback is about FPL Challenge and then maybe implementing this to FPL. But, you know, with ball recoveries, for example, that's always been a thing in UCL Fantasy, the Euros and World Cup. So, yeah, it's nothing revelationary, but I do think it'd be massive and it would make the game better because it gives another dimension to the game. Thinking about free hit as I have no City players at the moment and have a minimum of 2 from Arsenal and Liverpool. I'm planning on using wildcard in Game Week 12. That's fair enough. I can understand that logic and it might work very well for you. In fact, in UCL Fantasy, I might play the Limitless this week, which is like the free hit, but with no budget restrictions. For a similar reason, I've got a lot of Bayern Munich and Barcelona players, and they play each other, so I understand why you're looking to do that. Okay, thank you, Lager, for moderating the chat. Sell Ryle or Eze or Dean or Robinson or Robertson. Probably Robertson and Eze. Those are the ones I'd look to sell first. 5 million bracket has so many great value players. McNeil, Rogers, Buonanotte, Smith Rowe, Jorginho, Rota, Semenyo. Completely agree. There might even be a few more. Dibbling at 4.6 is still fine. Not great, but he's okay. There's probably a few more that I'm actually forgetting. Let's see if I can think of somebody else. I know the likes of Kovacic and Annan have done well until now, but that's not really going to stick long term for me. Let's see. I think for some reason I've got a feeling there's someone else. Let's see if I'm deluded. No, I think I was just smoking something probably. I do like Mavadidi potentially, but yeah, I think the others you mentioned are better. Amad Diallo when he does get starts, but that's always going to be an issue. Yeah, I think overall you're just correct. I think I got a bit carried away there. Dare I say Minter? Minter could be another one. I like him a little bit, not much, but you know, good player, lot of potential, and another one at that bracket. So yeah, very good point you make. No worries, Eddie, and good luck in Game Week 9, and of course what remains of Game Week 8. Brighton always score. I agree Jimenez will be better than Welbeck, but as much as I love Delap, he will never be better than Welbeck regardless of the fixture run. Yeah, look, I think with Welbeck, rather keep him ideally, but the problem is his back injury might be severe. Let's wait and see how long he's going to be out for, and hopefully he's back as soon as possible. Just call my mum. My dad's on a rampage, Arsenal fan. Yeah, I see. That's what football can do to you, but it's better not to let it affect you, really. Hey, Dylan, when can we expect new use of your fantasy content? Match day 2 was terrible for me. I got a massive red arrow, pretty much doubled my rank. The Best Limitless podcast is already available to members and patrons on YouTube, and that will be published tomorrow. The best wildcard team will be released on Monday, and the same goes for the team selection. And then, of course, on Tuesday, the deadline stream will always be there 2 hours before kickoff. Is there a week people have in mind for the optimal free hit? Because I want to use it, but it also wants to ensure I don't miss out when I will need it later this season. Well, we might get a few double game weeks this season, but nowhere near as many as previous years. So I think using chips early can definitely pay off, especially in single game weeks. I don't think there's a particular optimal free hit game week in mind because we don't know exactly when the doubles will be. Maybe around game week 33 or something like that, but there's nothing penciled in. And who knows how the fixtures will look like by then. So yeah, I think game week 9 could actually be a good time to use it in your case. Early to decide, but Diaz versus Arsenal or Semenyo versus Villa. I'd still go for Semenyo versus Villa. It all depends on Arsenal. Do they self-implode? Do they get a red card? If they don't, I think they can keep a clean sheet or at least keep Diaz quiet. Am I the only one feeling FPL is really hard to predict this year? Feels like I've been expecting the opposite of what is likely to happen nowadays. You're right to say that, I think, or at least to point it out. I think timing is also very important, right? Because people would have not gone for Arsenal players at the beginning of the season, or at least the defenders, because they had a tough run. They kept the clean sheets regardless. They had the best defensive record for the first 4 game weeks and stuff like that. But then things went sour. Things went south for the Gunners as soon as people brought them in on the game week 6 wildcard with favourable fixtures against Bournemouth away, Southampton and Leicester at home. So I think timing is the main reason why. Chelsea players essential from game week 12. Not essential. The only one I'd consider calling that would be Cole Palmer. No one else from Chelsea is essential, but I would like Jackson and maybe Robert Sanchez in goal. Spidey says, I think Delap or Raul Jimenez will be better than Welbeck because Brighton's fixtures are pretty hard. Yeah, I think that's fair, but fixtures aren't everything, and that's been proven so many times over the years, even this season with Arsenal, as I just mentioned. Foden and Mbeumo as differential captaincy shouts next week. Yeah, definitely. With Foden, though, there's always a concern about the minutes, and that's why I didn't go for him. If you use an actual stranger before free hitting, will the transfer count? Oh, transfer, sorry. Okay. No, it won't. It won't carry through, mate. So the free hit will wipe out everything, all the hits and all the transfers you've made beforehand. Wissa for DCL or Solanke? Don't think Solanke will get much service by DCL. He's been poor. I would get Wissa for DCL. But Solanke might be in sell territory in a few game weeks' time, but I'd still give him at least until the Ipswich Town game. If he doesn't deliver by then, I'd perhaps look at selling Solanke, but there's still a long way to go before that happens. What? What are we talking about? Bruce Wayne, Batman and stuff? Is that right? Probably missed something there. Something that Batman said earlier. Interesting comments being made. By the way, don't watch the Joker movie. Anyway, who's the best 5 to 5-point family mid at the moment? Buonanotte would be the best one. McNeil is just a little bit above that price threshold because for me, he is the best one. From 6 million and below, I've always recommended him in the last couple of streams and videos. So yeah, at your price point, I have to say it's probably Buonanotte. What are the fixture swings in Game Week 12? Good question. So in Game Week 12, the likes of Fulham, I know they've got some good fixtures beforehand anyway, but they've got Wolves at home. Bournemouth's fixtures definitely turn for the better after facing Villa, Man City and Brentford away. They've got Brighton at home, Wolves away and Tottenham at home. Although, I'll be honest, it's not the best fixture to be fair. I think Newcastle have a decent swing of fixtures. Everton, not really. It's kind of a continuation of what's happened before. I also think in terms of fixture swings, maybe it's beyond that. It's also about the timing, because if you wildcard in Game Week 11, let's actually go through some of the teams that have a tough fixture in Game Week 11. Aston Villa, Arsenal, Chelsea are some of the teams that have really tough fixtures in 11, But then Chelsea, for example, they're the best example of a team that has a great fixture swing in Game Week 12. So it's kind of a mixture of timing. I think all the kind of even game weeks in Game Weeks 12, 14, 16, 18, it's kind of like great opportunities to wildcard, whereas the likes of 11, maybe not ideal, especially if you want to double or triple up on certain teams that have a tough game in that specific game week. So thank you to those that have been tuning in. Smash the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe if you're new. Let's get this stream to over 100 likes and then push on beyond that afterwards. I have been streaming already for an hour and a half, and obviously with the stream done earlier, I might need to save my voice for the videos tomorrow. Like I said, I will be recording the Best Wildcard Team podcast very soon, and of course there's more headed your way with UCL Fantasy and FPL. Hearing that Welbeck went straight to the hospital doesn't look good. I had him since Game Week 4. Sadly, he'll be a sell before Wolves. Yeah, that was almost the guarantee of FPL points, but you know, Newcastle away, really tough on the FDR. He got a goal and maximum bonus points. It goes to show that sometimes fixtures aren't everything. Yeah, DCL has been poor, I know. I'd rather sell him than Solanke. Don't sell Raya, not worth it. Don't sell Gabriel or Saka either. I think it's fine to sell one of them, to be honest. I think it is. I mean, I wouldn't go overboard and say Arsenal just avoid. They're terrible. No, that's not the case, but I'd trim them down for sure. Got to run now. Thanks, Dylan, for the great content as always. Thank you very much. I'll be honest, Beardy. Nothing's been decided yet. I'll talk more about that in the team selection. Kartik says, Raya, Saka, Gabriel, who should I sell? One of the Arsenal defensive coverage. Ideally, it would be Raya, but goalkeeper transfers aren't really something you'd want to do. The ceiling or the kind of points gain you make from goalkeeper transfers are rarely worth it. Should I sell Saka and Colwill to Foden and Nuri? I'd still keep Saka if possible, but I do like the Colwill to Nuri transfer. That looks fairly decent. Although Nuri against Brighton away probably concedes a few goals there. I can't even sell him since I need to bring in Mbumo. Should I sold Salah instead of Palmer? Yeah, but you can't have them all right, and maybe Salah will get a brace tomorrow, and you'll be happy with it. Raya, Saka, or Gabriel, who should I sell? I've covered. What do you think of the Joker movie, or should I say musical? Yeah, so I love the first film. I really did, but with the second, I understand what they were going for. Kind of a regression. I don't want to spoil anything, of course. You know, kind of regression of Arthur's character, but I don't know. For me, it just wasn't it. It really wasn't. And you know, if I do say what I want to, you know, what I feel like I'll spoil it for people. So yeah, I just think it kind of went backwards in its story and kind of, I don't know, contradicted everything that the first film built. And that might have been the point of this film, but I just didn't like it. I really didn't. Sell Raya, only if you've got a double up in the Arsenal defence. In that case, yeah. But otherwise, he's still a decent option in the long term, and Arsenal will keep a lot of clean sheets from now until the end of the season. DS says FPL have deleted their tweet about Son getting the assist. Maybe they're changing their mind again. Hopefully. But, okay, I was going to say something a bit offensive, so maybe we'll keep it to ourselves, lads. We'll keep it to ourselves, but let's see. He's still got the assist, according to the FPL website. Hopefully, it gets removed. No offense. That was a Todibo own goal assist. Yeah, if it was a Todibo own goal, yeah, Son will get the assist there. Saka will play against Liverpool. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Ragster, Saka should be back for the Liverpool game, and we do have the Champions League match on Tuesday. We'll see if he's in the squad or not. Not sure how to fit Palmer in with my squad being Sanchez, Konate, Trent, Aina, Harwood, Bellis, Johnson, Mbumo, Rodgers, McNeil, Saka, Solanke, Haaland, Havertz. There's a few things you could do. One of them is selling Trent. I'm making a downgrade there and then funding a move elsewhere. But yeah, the kind of simplest thing would be Saka to Palmer, really, in your case. But you might not want to do that. So it might even require downgrading, let's say, Trent and Havertz to then upgrade someone like Johnson all the way up to Cole Palmer. Got 17 so far with Haaland and Salah to go, plus Lewis and Trent OMG. Yeah, it's not looking great. I've also not got a very good score, but it might be enough for a green arrow, depending on your rank. If Welbeck gets severely injured and many managers start selling him, will it affect his price? Should I sell him sooner to get the best price? I start in Game Week 5, so I'm still getting used to the rules. Right, that's a good question. Thank you very much for posing it. So sometimes FPL can be a bit murky with price changes and stuff like that. Solanke is a prime example. He was kind of price locked when he was red flagged, for so long, and he really should have gone down in price at least by 0.2 million, but he stayed at 7.5. And as soon as he gets some people buying him, he goes up in price. But essentially, yes, Welbeck can be, he can go down in price until he's essentially price locked, which I believe happens when he's red flagged. I might be incorrect about that. But yeah, at the moment, there is a risk of Welbeck going down in price. I don't think it will happen today, though. Maybe as we approach the Game Week 9 deadline later in the week. Why did Son get the assist? It was an own goal. Well, because if it hits off Todibo and they've classed it as a Todibo own goal, Son was the one who had the shot, and based on the rules, it would be his assist. But originally, they had it as a Areola own goal, if I'm not mistaken, and that's why he didn't get it, because it hit Todibo and then Areola. So we'll see how it pans out, but ultimately, I think Son does get the bonus points. Son post got deleted FPL RMS, yeah. I'm not going to say it happens every week, but there have been, a few instances over the years of FPL being a very sinister organization. I have to say that, but Solly March springs to mind. I'm going to have another look at the Son assist. It's still there on the FPL website, so maybe take a screenshot, enjoy the points while it's still there. I think he'll still keep them, to be honest. Could you create a quick Game Week 9 free hit team on FPL.team if possible? Yeah. Have I not gone? I haven't gone through the other screens. I've been so, enthused with the questions today. I'll go through that now. Keep smashing the like button and subscribing. It'd be massively appreciated. And let's now go to the FDR, the updated version. Brentford are top until Game Week 14, with Everton, Wolves, Fulham, and Leicester City in the top 5. If we look at those in the bottom, Newcastle, Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, and Aston Villa, even Chelsea in the bottom 6. As for predicted points in Game Week 9, Haaland is top with 9.2, a massive gap between him and second place Cole Palmer. Foden, Salah, Mbumo, Son, Eze, Isak, Chris Wood, and Watkins complete the top 10. Excuse me. In terms of price changes, Lewis, Gabriel, Jimenez, Kanate, Harwood, Bellis, Welbeck, Madison, Van der Ven, Sells, Foden could go up in price tonight, but some of these might be, kind of halted. For example, Gabriel after Arsenal's disaster class today, and Welbeck with the injury. That might not happen today, and in the end, they might not end up happening whatsoever. So just bear that in mind. As for potential price falls tonight, we could see Joao Pedro, McAllister, Eze, Mateta, Lisandro Martinez, Kudus, Mezraoui, Wan-Bissaka, Rodrigo Muniz, Cucurella, Alexander-Arnold, Jackson, Semenyo, and Saka. Let's now go to Draft Hound. They are recommending Mikalenko and Solanke out for Gvardiol and Welbeck, but of course, the injury news to Welbeck will change that, and Draft Hound regularly update the algorithm, so the suggestions for the transfers, the optimization tool, the predicted points, captaincy dilemmas, they are all updated on a regular basis. The same goes for the other pieces of tools you got, like the predicted lineups. So be sure to check out Draft Hound. It's a free, it is a free resource, yes, but you can gain access to all the pro pay tier memberships by spending £2 per week, and you can gain access to every single tool available. But some of this will still be actually here for you, like the predicted lineups, I think, will actually be there. You just don't get the expected minutes or the kind of squad roles each player has. And my personal favourite is the player rankings, which I've showed many times before. So over the next 3 game weeks, Haaland is top for predicted points. Salah, Palmer, Son, Saka, and Mbumo, Diaz, Maddison, Trent, and Jota complete the top 10 there. And looking ahead to Game Week 9, they are recommending Vandenberg in for Greaves and vice-captaining Palmer, which, spoiler alert, is what I'm looking to do at the moment. But there could be a few transfers, with the Arsenal players and maybe elsewhere. They aren't really too keen on Solanke, and he hasn't been great so far, so maybe Draft Hound are onto something. Let's now go to a stats comparison. No, it's going to be the top 250k captains. Erling Haaland is top with 82.47%. Let's see how he does tomorrow. The same goes for Salah in second. Saka in third, missed out completely. Palmer, of course, will also play against Liverpool. And Watkins did very well. Less than 1% of those in the top 250k captain him. So as you can see, Erling Haaland is going to be a massive... Well, is it going to be a massive impact? No, it's just going to be effective ownership galore. And maybe the gains won't be that high. Those that triple captain him, though, might be feasting by the end of tomorrow. Let's now also go to a sneak preview of Game Week 9 for me. So it'll be similar to what I showed you of Draft Town. That's kind of what I'm looking at the moment. I think Saka will be available against Liverpool. I've got Semenyo, Mikalenko and Greaves currently on the bench with Haaland as the captain. But as requested by Adil and a few others, the best free hit team. I might struggle with this one. So maybe you lot can help me in the comment section. Could this be a week where I finally recommend Edison as a free hit option, or just recommend them in general in FPL? Possibly, possibly. But I'll put him in there for now. I wouldn't recommend Edison in the long term, though. I have to make that very clear. He's more of a Game Week 9 punt on the free hit, and that's really just about it. Anybody else we could consider? Maybe Emi Martinez against Bournemouth. Yeah, I'm not really too convinced about the rest and clean sheets elsewhere. Maybe Flecken. Maybe. I think it's between Flecken and Edison. For now, I'll stick with Edison. Let's actually go for Flecken for now. That's so much for sticking with him. But just bear with me for a second. So let's now put Gavardio in here. This, like I said, this will be quite tough. For now, I'm putting Borro, but that might not stick. And as the third defender, not really backing too many clean sheets here, which is part of the problem. It's kind of a tough week to free hit, at least for the defensive line, so I can understand why there are so many questions revolving around it. We could get a surprise clean sheet somewhere. Maybe United away to West Ham, maybe Arsenal against Liverpool, although that's very optimistic. Yeah, maybe you could fancy Chelsea against Newcastle, but I'm not really too fond of this defensive line. For now, I'll keep it as it is. Maybe I'll put Collins in there, but a double up in this defense? Not liking the look of that. Let's also put Foden in there. Mbumo also makes the team. Backup goalkeeper, just go for Fabianski. Anyone will do. Let's put... Buonanotte, I think. Yeah, for now. It's between him and maybe McNeil as a budget midfielder. I'd keep Palmer here on the free hit for sure. I'd sell Solanke and probably go to Watkins. Okay, I like the look of this. It's looking better. Still not entirely sure about the defensive line, so if you have any suggestions, let me know in the live chat. Maybe you just want to go for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah, Palmer, Mbumo, Foden, fairly settled in this team. Rodgers against Bournemouth isn't too shabby. Mikalenko as a fourth defender, might get rid of him. Just go for a cheaper option. Yeah, this is not easy, I won't lie to you. I'll keep Mikalenko for now, but he's not really going to be anywhere near the starting 11. The other defender, we don't have much money to play with here. Greaves might even be out, and I don't expect a clean sheet against Brentford. Yeah, double up in Brentford defence. Trust me, I'm not going there. I will look to change that with somebody. For now, what I might do... Yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm going to probably have to refer to the live chat and see what you lot are saying. I think you lot can definitely help me with some of these kind of 50-50 calls I'm thinking about. Yeah, Welbeck had a back injury after the game today. Joker 2 is the worst film of 2024, and I've watched over 300 films in the year. That's, wow, one damning statement. But yeah, it's probably the worst film I've seen this year as well. In the cinemas recently, there haven't been that many great films. I think Alien Romulus was decent. It was actually pretty good. But yeah, Joker 2 was a massive disappointment. But I was always expecting it to not really live up to the first film. The goal had a double deflection before going into the goal. Yeah, I thought that as well, Beardy. My point is, if they kind of argued it's a Todibo own goal, yeah, I see what you're saying, though. Even if it does hit off Todibo, if it hit Areola at any point, it can't be a Son assist, but let's wait and see. 9 from 6, any good? No, But luckily, you do have 5 players left, which might be your captain as well in Erling Haaland. So that's technically 6 players left. So not the worst. Still not great. It's pretty bad, but look, it is FPL. Just got back home. That needs some hope for the title. I mean, I said to my friends today, I mean, with performances like that and results like that, you can't expect to win a title. But it's a long season. He'll deal with the United scum in the street, Batman. Well, anyways, the plans now. Good thing I didn't go for the double Arsenal defense. Probably to get rid of one of them. No, I'm not free hitting. It's just people have been asking me about the free hit, so I'm trying to provide a good team, but I'm a bit skeptical. I was thinking about Justin, but I think Forest score. That's my current thinking. Yeah, I don't think so as well. It might even be a draw, but I certainly see West Ham scoring in that game. No players essential, but is Trent the best defender in the game? Yes, he is. Is Smile 2 worth it if you watched, or should I watch Venom 3? I haven't seen that, to be honest, so we'll see what other people say. I don't mind the Son assist if they give Bowen his, yeah, but will they give the Bowen assist? No. Yeah, I was thinking about Forest. That's a bit more, I'm a bit more open to that, but it's an away fixture. I still think Leicester score. Not really too keen on it, but I appreciate the suggestions, I do. Yeah, that's the problem, Jason. They didn't give the Bowen one, but they potentially give the Son one. Do you have any 5 million defenders to replace Trent? Ideally, you wouldn't sell Trent. That's the thing. But at 5 million and below, Mazraoui would definitely be up there for me. I think he'll start in game week 9 or 10. Mikalenko, just great fixtures, very cheap. He's not going to be reliable every week, but I think he's a decent 4th or 5th defender. Rico Lewis, but he's going to be a rotation risk. I think those would be the main ones for me. Haaland will save us all. But if he does well, it's not really a massive rank rise because the effective ownership is very high. It's not necessarily Kivior, though. If Timber's back, it could be a back 4 of Gabriel, Calafiori, Timber, and White. That's very solid, actually, and on paper would be better than most teams in Europe, or defensively at least. So, yeah, it's obviously a worry to miss one of your best players against Liverpool on top of Odegaard and all the other problems, but it all depends. If Timber's available, I think Arsenal could still get a clean sheet or at least be competitive and win the game. Got to have Keane in that free hit team. Yeah, but Branthwaite will probably be back by then. If he isn't, then fair enough. You're probably onto something there. Yes, Keane is the best 4 million defender right now, but once Branthwaite is back, bye-bye. Keane goes back to the bench. That's my main issue with him. Yeah, Whistle for Wood, definitely. I'm kind of just still in deliberating with the defensive line, but you're right. I think Wissa would be the one, and that requires selling one of Flecken or Collins. So, yeah, let's get rid of Collins for now. I'll go for Milenkovic. I'm just putting somebody out there. So Milenkovic, and then let's go for Wissa. 0.3 million in the bank. Buonanotte. Could go for Rodgers. Well, I've got Rodgers in there already, but who else could I go for? McNeil. Yeah, it's not looking too great, but the starting 11 is fairly solid. And the expected points is 61.7, which is fairly high. Let's actually compare that to my team, because I forgot what my expected points was on the FPL.team website. Somehow I've gone down in terms of expected points, so yeah, 64.3 compared to the free hit 61.7. But it goes to show you that sometimes algorithms don't say everything. My main concerns with this team, though, would be the defensive line and even Rodgers. Not really too fond of that. But I think Wissa, Haaland, Watkins, Foden, Mbeumo, Palmer, Gvardiol will be fairly locked in on this free hit. The rest is kind of open to interpretation. Yeah, I think 22 is decent. Not great, but it's meh, you know. It's passable. Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate it. Aitner and Cunha can be a good combo soon, for sure. I'm more interested in Cunha out of the two. But I think Game Week 10 is probably the ideal time to do it. Who's the top 3 manager in the Premier League so far? Yeah, this season, I think Arne Slot. Yeah, I think that's a good top 3. I can't really argue with that, to be honest. Before today, I would have said Arteta, but yeah, forget about that for now. trying to think if there's anyone else. I mean, Marco Silva was also, he's had a good start to the season, but yeah, ultimately, I think you're right. That's probably the top three. Yeah, I think so. Otherwise, I'm kind of reaching with the rest. But Guardiola's always up there, isn't he? I mean, you probably could just say Guardiola. I hate low-scoring weeks. So do I. But I prefer that than having a low-scoring week whilst everyone else does well. Joao Pedro, probably out for a couple more weeks. The official timeline we've got at the moment, I believe, is the end of October. So, no, actually, yeah, it's until November, actually. So, yeah, it's kind of... This is the exact quote, by the way, by Hurstler back in September. He says, of course, Joao had some problems after the game. He still has some problems. We have to go week by week, but I don't think he'll be an option for the weekend. I'm not sure how long he'll be out for. I think Joao is a good healer, and I'm convinced he'll be back soon. Okay, so yeah, according to this website, it says potential return the 23rd of November, but it could be sooner than that. It really depends on how Joao Pedro feels, and it looks like it's going to be a week-by-week basis that they're going to assess him, so that's probably the answer. Yeah, Rotta's another good... yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you're right to mention that. That's a really good suggestion, actually. That's yeah. I do think Wolves could score, but that could also help with the defensive line. So let's do a few things here. Let's put Dunk. Let's also put Rotta. So yeah, I think that's helping me form a better team here. I am 0.5 million over my own value, but some of you might be able to afford this still. Maybe if I just go for Dunk in the defensive line and then sell Milenkovic just to any 4 million defender. For those that don't triple up on Brentford, that could be Vandenberg, or maybe you just stick with Greaves. But something like this could definitely work out fairly well. But yeah, you are kind of putting all your eggs on certain baskets in Ipswich, in Brentford, Brighton, and Man City. That is maybe a potential concern. I'm 0.1 million over budget here, but you could just do Buonanotte to Dibbling, and then you can afford it. He's just sitting on your bench anyway. He's facing City away, so you'd probably rather go for anybody else, actually. But yeah, something like this. The bench is really weak, I do admit. It is really weak, but the free hit is all about the starting 11, and all of them should start, unless we get some surprises like Joao Pedro in the lineup again. But yeah, for now, I'll go for something like this. I think the vast majority of you should be able to afford it. But if not, you could even do Gavardio to Lewis or Akanji. And if you do go to Lewis, that could help you a lot with improving the rest of your squad. So let's see if there's anything else I could do to make this affordable. Not looking too good, Bref. Not looking too good. Who is actually a 3.9 million defender just to sit on the bench? Yeah, Burgess, yeah. And he could take Greaves' place. So something like that could work. Let me know what you lot think. Probably not too infused by it, but if you play it purely by the fixtures, you'd go for something like that. But as I've discussed before, FPL is not just about that. Brighton were terrible in the first half today. Yeah, I didn't watch the first half of that game, to be honest, but Brighton have had a very good start to the season anyway. They can change anything until the game week ends officially. True, and I don't like that, to be honest with you. 40 from 6, happy with that. That's a very good score this week. A very big rank rise. What do you think about Arsenal versus Liverpool now after Saliba's out? I still think Arsenal can win the game. It all depends on how they approach it. If Timber's back, if Saka's available. If that's the case, I'd still back Arsenal for a win. But of course, right now, it looks like doom and gloom for the Gunners. Who's rising in price tonight? I did cover that earlier. There's no guarantee, by the way, about price changes. But yeah, I think players like Welbeck and Gabriel were projected price rises. I think that won't happen now. Gameweek 9 free hit, Flecken, Dunk, Justin Lewis, Palmer, Boomer, Foden, McNeil, Rogers, Watkins, Hallen. Yeah, I've gone for something similar. So I kind of agree with your reasoning and thinking. I do think Rotta could be a nice differential for you, as mentioned by a few people in the chat already. But overall, I'm very happy with your team. Would I be right in saying the bonus points can change on Monday evening, but the goals assists awarded can't be? Yeah, you are correct about that. I think with the Sun one, that should be kind of settled by tomorrow, early on, before the Forest versus... Well, I say tomorrow, that's already... It's on Sunday, I'm losing track of time. I think, yeah, by tomorrow that should be settled. But the bonus points, they can do anything they want with that. What were the bonus points today? To kind of summarize quickly, because I haven't got many bonus points myself, just the one in Mikolenko. So for Spurs versus West Ham, if the Son assist stands, it will be Bissouma with 3, Son with 2, and Kulusevski with 1. Fulham versus Villa, it will be Tielemans with 3, Watkins 2, and Jimenez with 1 bonus point. Everton versus Ipswich, Ndai with 3, Keane 2, and Mikalenko 1. United Brentford, I believe it's Garnacho with 3, Højlund 2, and Casemiro with 1. Newcastle Brighton, Welbeck maximum bonus points, Verbruggen with 2, and Igor Julio with 1. Southampton versus Leicester City, Archer with 3, Aribo with 2, and Buonanotte with 1. And then Bournemouth versus Arsenal, it's Senesi with 3, Kluivert with 2, and Christie with 1. But these things can change, so it's not really worth looking at too much. Remove Porro, we don't trust Spurs. Well, neither do I, mate, but I'm not really too enthused by the fixtures in Game Week 9. Great stream, kind sir. What is the browser source you use to pull up comments during the stream like that? Looks dope. I think it's just called Chat Overlay. Yeah, it's called Chat Overlay. You can find it quite easily, actually. Bowen has just been robbed. I agree. I'm sticking with my 3-2 Liverpool prediction from earlier. I'm hoping for a Chelsea point or win, though, but I'm asking for a lot there. When are we getting the Gakpo review? I personally think whoever gets man of the match should get 3 bonus points. Thoughts? Yeah, I think that's quite fair. Sometimes the man of the match is quite inaccurate, and you just don't agree with it. I just think the bonus point system is flawed in general. If it was better, then people wouldn't complain so much about it. I went Salah to Son, Semenyo to Foden, and Trent to Porro, and on 25 points. Looking good right now. The only transfer I could see backfiring would be Trent to Porro. I did it for a -8, by the way. Oof, fair enough. So you're on 25 points with the -8 included. If so, that's fairly decent, actually. Got 5 free transfers. Which 2 teams should I load up on? It's difficult because Liverpool, Arsenal, and City, for me, are still the best teams in the league, but 2 of them have bad fixtures. I think City would be one of them, and possibly United. The 2 Manchester clubs would spring to mind if you're looking at it from a purely fixtures point of view. Spurs, especially offensively, look good. So a double or triple up there. But I think 1 is probably enough, actually. I mean, if you've got Son, do you want to double up with Johnson and Solanke? Might pay off. Well, I think it will against Ipswich Town, but against Palace and the other games, not that convinced. My points up from 14 to 17. Welbeck got 3. Yeah, exactly that. And the Welbeck one was well deserved. I have a boring and disturbing assortment. Rye, Robinson, Dean, Robertson, Greaves, Dunk, Rogers, Sterling, Madueke, Salah, Haaland, Solanke, Stewart. I need a plan to advance in order. Yeah, there are some problems in there. Sterling is just a must sell, especially when Saka's back. He's not really going to get too many starts or minutes. I also think Madueke could be a sell as well, but if you kept him until this point, it's kind of a bit awkward, I think, against Newcastle and United, where you could do something. But yeah, those 2 kind of spring out to me as potential sells. The rest is fine for now, but even Robertson is another one you could offload. I think the rest is fairly good for the time being. Was just wondering, because FPL Twitter deleted their tweet about the Son assist. Yeah, people mentioned that, but it looks like it's sticking for now. We don't like changes, but what is being tested in FPL Challenge would bring objectivity to points. Bonus points is subjective. Yeah, I would like ball recoveries and stuff like that. That's why I prefer UCL Fantasy in general. It gives another dimension to the game and more decisions to make. And also just means more points in general, which I like. Gotta go. Have a good night and good luck for tomorrow, everyone. Likewise, Spidey. Thank you so much. Came here to find a fellow Saliba owner. Triple Arsenal defence in the mud. Where's my wild card? Yeah, don't get me started on Arsenal, mate. I feel like I've jinxed them since bringing them in on the wild card in Game Week 6, but that's football for you. It is full of surprises, and I still think they'll bounce back, even possibly against Liverpool, but it doesn't look great right now. Got Welbeck on the bench, but luckily Saka didn't play, so just went from 14 to 23. Nice stuff. I wish I could get bench points like that. It will happen, I think, at some point, and to be fair, I did get Chris Wood on for Jota a few weeks ago, so maybe I already had the luck, so fair play. Only thing bonus points good for is justifying Trent's price. Yeah, but Liverpool keep a lot of clean sheets, and they could do so against Chelsea tomorrow. Who knows? Horrible day so far, Dylan. What about you? It's a green arrow, but it's purely because of Mikalenko. really low effective ownership. He's been saving my week so far. I think it could look much better by tomorrow or Monday. But if you're asking me to choose between City dropping points or getting a lot of goals from Haaland, I'm going to pick City dropping points. But unfortunately, I'm not going to get what I want. Highest scoring team, Captain Keane. Yeah, it's probably one of those kind of second teams or ghost teams. People trying to win, the Manager of the Week award by going for these random picks. Who captains Keane, for Christ's sake? Have you seen the highest scorers team so far this week, mate? Should check their defence. I probably would rather not. They probably got Senesi and Keane and stuff like that. No, thank you. I don't think Liverpool defence will keep clean sheets, so I'll get Trent when the fixtures turn. I'll go from Son or Foden. That's fair. And also with Trent, by selling him, you probably gain a lot of money to then buy Palmer. So I do like that. And with no Alisson and tougher fixtures, I think it's right to be a bit concerned about Liverpool, but they have the best defence in the league up until this point. Template teams just aren't cutting it at the moment. Lots of players out there. FPL experts are just missing. How many experts have the same Palmer, Saka, and Boomer Rodgers midfield? Yeah, to be honest, I just make my transfers without knowing what everyone else does. I'm being completely honest about that. And I thought I'd made the transfers in the wrong time by selling Trent to get Palmer last week. But yeah, it is what it is. I do agree with the first statement you make, though, and I do think the template isn't cutting it. I was doing really well up until Game Week 4 with a relatively template team, but it has fallen apart recently. And the wildcard hasn't helped at all. If anything, it's made things worse for me. I have 10 points of Haaland captain, Gavardio, Lewis, Cunha, and Palmer to play, but I don't feel nervous. Is that normal? Well, it is a low-scoring week for most people, so that makes sense. And you've got some really good players left. I wouldn't be confident about Lewis starting. There is a chance he doesn't, but the rest should do. And with Palmer and Haaland captain, there's always a chance of doing something. The BPS is not subjective, it's stats added up, while man of the match is only subjective. Yeah, look, we can have a conversation about bonus points all day long. Ultimately, it is flawed. There are some good things about it, but also areas for improvement. Wissa or Raul? Probably Wissa in isolation, but I do like Jimenez a lot. What do you get from manager from the week? I'm not even too sure, to be honest. Nothing that fancy. Maybe a gift bag or something. I wouldn't know. I've never won it. Even the FPL winners, I don't think their prizes are necessarily that great. Should we bring Garnacho now? Possibly. I don't mind him actually as a budget mid-price midfielder. But West Ham away, I mean, yeah, Garnacho could do something, to be fair. I mean, they look awful defensively this season. I wouldn't mind that. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if Emi Martinez scrapes a bonus point come Monday after saving a pen and getting free saves. Well, he's actually very close on the BPS system. Well, that's redundant. The BPS, the bonus point system. Yeah, I think he's literally one away from getting a bonus point, so you could be onto something there. Time to sell Smith Rowe. The thing is, Fulham have good fixtures coming up, but he was awful today. From what I watched in the first half, the touches were heavy, he couldn't control the ball properly, and nothing really flowed through him. But the thing is, you've got so many other options at a similar price, and that's why you might argue he's a sell. But I personally would probably hold for now. Once we get closer to the Game Week 9 deadline, ask me that again, and I'll probably give you a definitive answer. I only want to beat my friends in my mini league. They have random teams and are beating me. Yeah, I'm experiencing something similar, but I think it does even out by the end of the season, and there has been a lot of variance recently. FPL should add change captain on different days like UCL would make the game better. Yeah, it might drive up engagement, but it also could push away casuals, and FPL want to appeal to as many people as possible. So I don't see them doing that, but they might add some of these aspects like ball recoveries and tackles. Too much for a day to see 4-5 comebacks and that many red cards. Yeah, I believe it was 5 red cards in the end, and it's never good to see your own team get one, and that's 3 in 8 games for Arsenal, the most in the Premier League. How do FPL send you your prizes for winning game week or overall? Well, I think you just put your details on the Premier League website with your account, and they get in touch with you, and you get your prizes. But like I said, I wouldn't know that because I haven't done it yet. Hopefully one day I will. Especially winning it, that would be obviously the ultimate goal. Top priority transfers next game week. Top priority transfers. For me personally, let me go away from this horrid free hit team. I think getting rid of one of Raya or Gabriel would be on the agenda. If Saka is ruled out, then selling him would also, well, it'd probably be almost a certainty, but I don't see that happening. I might even roll again and just go with what I have and then have free transfers available in Game Week 10, but it's just not a good start to the season. Yeah, it's about time I get back on track. I am on 2 green arrows in a row currently, but that could easily change if Salah hauls tomorrow. DCL brace loading, I swear. Yeah, I could see Calvert-Lewin doing well once people sell him, but I think it is the right thing to do. I personally think Rico Lewis starts, but it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if he's benched, especially with the Champions League in midweek, and you've also got Southampton at home next week. Over the next 2 in FPL, I think Lewis gets benched. It's just a matter of when. Who knows an anti-FPL league? I venture I can win there. Yeah, it does feel like that at the moment. Adil, put your team details in the comment section and I'll try to reply to you there because I am going to wrap things up here. I have been streaming for over 2 hours and of course I did the stream earlier as well. And hopefully your free hit does work out for you in Game Week 9. Let me know how it goes. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this to over 200 likes and let's keep on pushing towards 35 subscribers and beyond. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links in the description below for my Patreon and the championships for early access to my videos, amongst many other perks, the Discord server, FPL League, Draft Hound, as well as Spotify. Leave a 5-star review on my podcast. It goes a long way to support my channel. Thank you, Beardy. Have a nice weekend as well. Hopefully, Sunday and Monday brings many more FPL points. Watch Arsenal keep 3 back-to-back clean sheets against Liverpool, Chelsea and Newcastle whilst conceding to Southampton, Leicester and Bournemouth. It's not impossible. I personally think they will concede in that time frame, but I think 1 or 2 clean sheets, that's kind of my sensation with Arsenal right now. Maybe that will just encourage me to keep Raya and Gabriel, but I want to just not jinx Arsenal. That's kind of maybe my reasoning for getting rid of one of them, but you're right about that. That is definitely a possibility. I think being able to roll up to 5 free transfers is a weapon that's being underused by experienced managers. It allows managers to just pick good players and give them all time to play. Yeah, I personally had free transfers available in Game Week 4. Unfortunately, I used every single one of them, bought in Salah at the wrong time, of course, and then wildcard in Game Week 6. And as soon as I started tinkering my team, I went down the ranks. So it can be a gift and a curse. It all depends on how you use it. Try not to be reactionary, which is easier said than done. But you make a great point. It is a weapon to be used. And that's why I might roll yet again in Game Week 9. But that will be discussed in the team selection because the temptation to make transfers will always be there. Thank you for watching this stream. It's been a pleasure talking to you on this Saturday afternoon. I keep saying afternoon for Christ's sake. I wish I was back on Saturday afternoon. On this Saturday night, keep your eyes peeled for your fantasy content. The best wildcard team will be out on Monday alongside the team selection. The Limitless squad will be available tomorrow and it's currently out for members and patrons. And of course on Tuesday, the deadline stream for Matchday 3 in UCL Fantasy and much more FPL content headed your way ahead of Game Week 9. Take care, enjoy the football, and I'll see you very soon.